And away we go. It's going to be Sherry in the ruck against Taylor Goad, who wins the tap. Davies-Uniacke, Powell. Try to get it back to Davies-Uniacke. He eventually finds it in the end. Sweeps it wide. Archer gives it over the top to Powell. Time to assess the options. Link up with Scott. Receives it back. Runs to 50. Powell can line up and go from 48. Get it right to the line. It's spoiled over and out. And we speak about Tom Powell, who's got away to an eye-catching start. He's had a ripping summer.
He certainly has. I spoke to him about a fortnight ago for afl.com.au and spoke about how he's tried to maintain his body weight but get some running power through his legs over the summer so he can cover the ground a bit better. And you speak to anyone here at North Melbourne, he's certainly been one of the standouts on the track across the summer.
Time for all the work he's done to put in over the last few years to come to fruition for Tom Powell at 22 years of age and with 68 AFL games now under his belt. Ball up at the top of the square. McKercher couldn't wriggle free. Umpire says holding the football. Tackle there from Ben Hopkins will be rewarded.
Zane Dersma just behind the play, flexing his shoulder a couple of times, copped a big hit in that first contest of the game, but he looks like he's playing on, so that's good news for Zane Dersma.
So it was Ben Hopkins, the 19-year-old from Langwarrin, who just missed out on the mid-season draft last year and has joined the North Melbourne VFL program this year to continue his path. He has it again here. Nicely weighted kick, and there is the aforementioned Zane Dersma. Now to Dylan Stevens. So a couple of players who are on the outside looking in at the moment, trying to bust their way into the senior team. There's another one in Ford. Links up with Stevens. Back now to Hopkins. Good pressure here from the Kangaroos. Force the handball, which sold Ford into trouble. Good tackle from Davies-Uniacke, but Stevens, nice delivery. And they eventually work it out to Dersma, who's right on 50.
Started in the midfield as well, Zane Dersma, which was interesting to see. He played a lot of his first year at North Melbourne in the forward line, so we're interested to see how his role develops throughout the year.
Tugs the kick a little left, but it might work here for the Roos off the chest of Maley. Picked up by McPherson. He snaps goalward for the opening score. It goes the way of Pink. So two McPhersons out there today, Darcy McPherson and Ewan McPherson. Ewan, 63 VFL games with the Bulldogs, and Darcy, who's come off the Gold Coast list.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he was a trade target once upon a time for North Melbourne, was Darcy McPherson. Obviously, ultimately ended up staying at Gold Coast and signed a new deal, but now it's interesting how that finds its way back to Arden Street and he gets a chance on their VFL program this year.
Jackson Archer. One of these players you're expecting to see enormous natural development from this year after having 23 games of experience. And speaking of development, Paul Curtis is probably the number one seed in that department here at Arden Street. They are so excited with his progress. Turns it over on this occasion. Mark taken by Dersma, and that'll be a 50-metre penalty. So a good start here for the pink side. Opportunity to get within range here and set up another opportunity.
It's been a good start for Zane Dersma as well. As we mentioned, he's got his hands on the footy a number of times, took a really strong intercept mark there. We saw him float forward a little bit before and have that shot from just outside 50. So he's looking really lively for this pink side because he's one that's going to be wanting to force his way back into North Melbourne's senior side ahead of round one.
13 AFL games last season, kicked 9 goals, 8. So a little closer this time, kicked from outside 50 and set it up last time. This time from 45, no problems with the distance or the accuracy. Opening goal to Zane Dersma.
He's been such an interesting prospect to watch his development over a number of years now, particularly at junior level, where he's got that capability of being that forward half player where he can go through the midfield, as we're about to see him go through there again. He's clearly started in an on-ball role for this pink side, but he can go through the midfield and be a game breaker there and then go forward, take a mark above his head. We've seen him fly for some big grabs across his junior career as well. So he's got all the tricks in the book, Zane Dersma. He's going to be a fascinating one to watch develop. He reminds me, you don't want to put too high expectation on him, but he reminds me a little bit of Nat Fyfe in his body shape and the way he moves around the ground and the way he flies for his marks. So I wonder if he's someone that he's looked at across his career and thought, this is someone I can really emulate at AFL level one day.
Still just flexing that shoulder a little. Had a shoulder problem early in the pre-season and a few niggles which set him back. Here's a nice takeaway from Sheasel. Delivery inside 50. Curtis has the sit. Nice spoil from the front came from Hardiman. Ball will spill to the back. Here's Curtis. Beautiful one-handed pickup. Tried to keep it alive. Hardiman steps it out. Umpire says throw it in. So Zane Dersma, the shoulder problem, a few niggles, has had to sort of chase the pre-season a little bit, but he's caught up now and is at the required level. And as we mentioned, a fantastic start to him. Ball at the blue end of the ground. Zerha taken down in a tackle by Bergman.
You mentioned the shoulder injury there. The good news for North Melbourne in this, only 5 players missing out due to injury today. And then, of course, the captain, Jai Simpkin, who's over in Perth for the Indigenous All-Stars.
Luke Parker hacks it out of mid-air, but it goes out of bounds on the full. Luke Parker, a wonderful addition to this group. There's the tackle from Miles Bergman. 293 games of AFL experience and a premiership for Luke Parker. And behind the scenes here at Arden Street, they're raving about the leadership and the guidance and the mentorship that he is bringing to this young group, along with the likes of Jack Darling and Caleb Daniel. This is Charlie Comben. Another they'll be hoping continues on his exciting growth curve in 25. Sheasel, nice crumb at the front. Had the poise to give it off. Scott with the banana across the face.
Just didn't get that one right, Bailey Scott, but how good was the clean skill from Harry Sheasel to win the footy and get the ball out to him on the outside. He's such an exciting prospect. We've seen what he's been able to do in his first 2 years at AFL level.
Bit of rain around earlier. It's cleared at the moment. The ground's in super condition. This is Eddie Ford. Goes long down the line. Maley in the middle of this pack. Teakle there as well. Some tall timber for Pink, but it spills to the back. Tucker to Davies Uniacke, and here's Caleb Daniel, who will be in that launch half-back role. He played so effectively for the Bulldogs. Sheasel's kick up the middle of the ground, finds Darling. Back to Sheasel. Stabs the kick. Was a slip from McKercher and an inopportune time, and that allows Ford to intercept and bring it back the other way for Pink. Stevens, this is River Stevens, son of the great Anthony Stevens. And Dersma has it again. Inside to Ford, been busy early. He switches laterally. This is Alex Noblet, VFL listed player. Now to Dylan Stevens. Stevens, beautiful kick. Wasn't a lot of space. He weighted that absolutely perfectly between a couple of blue defenders, and Eddie Ford gets on the end of it.
Pretty hot start from the Pink side. We mentioned at the top, it's not the stronger of the two teams. It's the possibles that are trying to work their way into this round 1 lineup, but they've looked really strong early.
Special guest joining us as Eddie Ford gets ready to line up for goal from 45 out. National Recruiting Manager for the Kangas, Will Thursfield, joins us. Will, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I might just turn your microphone on. Sorry about that. That's my bad.
Thanks for having
me.
There
you are.
There we go.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, going beautifully. When it came to list management at the end of last year and all through of last year, and you guys were sitting down to say, okay, well, where are the holes and how do we fill them? What was the philosophy? Was it best available? Was it recruit for need, or a combination of both?
It was a combination of both. I think with pick 2, we just wanted to take the best player, which we thought was Finn, who's out there in the A team today. And then we were really keen to jump back in and take a tall player. And we identified a few of those guys that we liked. And yeah, ended up with Matty Whitlock, who's also on the A team and going really well.
Yeah, it's great feather in the cap to have two of the guys. And there is Matt Whitlock trying to get the spoil in there. Couldn't do so on this occasion, but on the deck, which is one of his great strengths, wins it, gives it to Daniel. He goes towards Darling, and we saw a little piece of Matt Whitlock there. Really good in the air, but just as good recovery on the deck.
Yeah, very, very agile for a guy of almost 200 centimetres. So once he gets stronger, he's going to be a real aerial presence, but yeah, what separates him is that agility and speed on the ground.
Zerha has it 45 out.
When you say Matt Whitlock, I mean, you jump back in, you took that chance to get back into the order and give up your future first round pick for him. I mean, his competitiveness was something that stood out across his junior career. The stronger side today, do you see him being able to play senior footy across these first 12 months of his AFL career?
I don't see why not, just because he's so competitive and he's very athletic. So he's going to be able to play on some smaller players while he fills out. And he's been getting involved offensively as well, so he's not just a stopper. So he's pretty exciting, Matty. And, I mean, there's always the possibility of him playing forward as well.
Yeah.
We know what he did last year in limited games. He kicked 30-odd goals, so he's back now, but, yeah, he could easily be swung forward at some point.
Smooth mover, reads the cue so well, Matt Whitlock. Strong in the air, and the word from the coaching staff, just super IQ. Behind the ball, he looks like an 8-year veteran. Reads it as well as anyone in the competition, which, as we know with the way modern football's played, is such a huge weapon. Yeah,
what he does is he sees it, he commits. He doesn't sort of second-guess himself like a lot of young players can do early days. He'll just go, he'll fly in, use that speed and compete, which it's his real strength.
Finn O'Sullivan, I mean, we've heard all about him for a number of years now as a junior prospect, but comes into the side as the number 2 pick. He's in the stronger A team today. It looks like he's on track for round 1, having spoken to Alistair Clarkson about him earlier in the week for AFL.com.au. I mean, playing on a wing, but how much have you loved his versatility across his first few months at Arden Street? Because he's that body shape where he can push forward and take a mark above his head as well.
Yeah, I think he can really play anywhere. Finn, you play him half back, he's hardly played it, but I think he'd do it really well with that aerial stuff. He's tough, he's very athletic. Ultimately, he'll probably end up in the midfield, but what a weapon to have the next few years, just throw around and cover the ground like he does, and brave and skilled. So he's fitted in really well. He's a great clubman too, so everyone loves him already.
Taylor Goad got that free kick and kicked it long. The development of Taylor Goad, obviously with the young guys, they all come along at different speeds, and last year he was very raw up against some very big bodies in the VFL, and he was pushed into key defence at times, almost just to protect him really, because he's going against some absolute monsters, the likes of Braden Crosley, who were just ragdolling him. But his summer's apparently been super, and you can even just see from looking at him, he's put on some bulk and some muscle, he's done a lot of grappling work, worked on his strength, and so he looks to be tracking in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's massive credit to him. He's gone back to Adelaide in the off-season, put on 5-6 kilos of muscle. He's the first in, he's the last one to leave. He's just an absolute pro for a kid at that age. It's pretty special, and combine that with his size and the way he moves, pretty exciting for fans moving forward.
Bode Stevens with a handball, it's picked off. Here's Hopkins, feeds it to Eddie Ford. Ford will square it up to a dangerous position. There is Whitlock involved, and now some run from the back. Powell, good overlap here. Phillips, Hanson, Zerha's going to get run down. Good tackle by Core, and it was a ball and all. Umpire let it go. Play on the call. Larkey wrapped up. Parker feeds to the outside. Phillips comes in, lays the tackle. So, big investment in your midfield group over the last few years. You've gone heavily at the draft and you've brought in extra players. Do you feel like you've got the core group now? It's about getting games into them to build that chemistry and cohesion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you look at the draft picks we've had through that middle part of the ground. Get games into Colby, who just got it. Zane, we've seen start well on the other side. Foss with the ball now. Just get games, continuity as a group. I think the pieces are there. Combine that with Luke and Jai, who are a bit older.
Zerha's kick's turned over. Here's Stevens. Stevens comes out to the wing. The mark's taken by James Tarrant. Had a super year last year in the Ammos playing at Old Scotch. Played in the Premiership, their first in 46 years. Stevens brings it inside. Ollie Houghton has come off the St Kilda list.
You mentioned these VFL guys. Jace was running through some of them then. I mean, you don't have a lift spot at the moment. You've got no official train-ons as a result of that. But how much do you still have to keep an eye on the market in case something does happen? Obviously, we don't want to see anything happen, but just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys have had exposure throughout the summer. You know, generally we got 4 or 5 of them doing pre-season main sessions. So to get a good look at them there, and they've been really good. And as you can see, they're contributing today. So Tommy Lynch has done a great job recruiting and developing these blokes. And yeah, we watch them pretty close.
You've got some ready-made, certainly in the VFL, that guys that are either do have AFL experience or are ready for that next step up, which is a great thing to have for you, obviously for the competitiveness of your VFL team. Talk us through the significance of that. How important is it to have a competitive VFL team, and what does that do for your AFL team?
Well, it's a pathway for guys like Riley Hardiman and Will Dawson and Taylor Goad. You want them going out there being competitive in games of footy and expecting to do that. So to have guys like Darcy McPherson come on board and Cooper Trembath, who's got another year into him, yeah, you definitely want to be competitive in the VFL.
Curtis trying to shake Dawson. Kick to the top of the square. Larkey goes left, goes right, goes to Powell, and he snaps a goal. Nicely worked.
The Matt Whitlock trade last year, obviously there's been a lot of commentary around it, as there always is when you shift out a future first-round pick for a player. Can you talk us through the list strategy involved there? Because you've obviously been a club that's been to the draft a number of times over the last couple of years. I think it was 10 top 30 picks in the last 3 years, and you had the 5 first-rounders the year before that. Can you talk us through a bit of the list strategy stuff and just how confident you are in seeing that trade develop across the course of the year and work out in your favour?
It was a two-part thing. I think it was fast-forwarding the process of bringing another one in. Like, you know, we did the 5 the year before. to bring another 2 in this year so they can just develop as a group. And I mentioned earlier just about another tall player, like Jace mentioned about the heavy investment in the midfield, to get what we think is an elite tall as part of that young brigade was a priority. So it was a sort of 2-part thing. Fast forward the process and a bit of a list need. And Matt can play both ends, which had big appeal.
There's Luke Urquhart, number 14. We'll get your thoughts on him in a moment. He's had an exciting summer. Parker's wrapped up by Darcy McPherson, and we'll have another bounce. But Luke Urquhart was taken at pick 57, 3rd pick in the draft last November. Davies Uniacke receives the handball, swings it wide in the Larky direction, gets a hand to it in the one-on-one against Dawson, creates an opportunity for Costanti at ground level. Acceleration from O'Sullivan. Kick smothered off his boot by Dawson. Dribbles towards the line. Stays in for Finn O'Sullivan. Floats a kick forward. In best position was Stevens. Couldn't complete the grab. Pressure now comes. Darling lays the tackle. Ball up. So Luke Urquhart, number 14 in the pink. One to keep an eye on. Natural ball winner from WA. Tell us a little bit about him and how his summer's been.
Big, powerful athlete. Hunts the ball, hunts the man. Pretty raw in terms of his footy and his training because he had some injuries. He played a lot of water polo as a junior.
Dislocated his hip, didn't he, and turned his focus to footy.
And he had some hip surgery which ruled him out for close to a year. So he's very raw, but we just like the fact he's big and he competes and he's going to develop into a stoppage type player. So we're pretty rapt that he was there. We had him rated quite highly.
I know Liam Shields is a massive fan of his, is always checking in on how he's going.
He pushed to get Irks in the 14, his old number. So, he's a huge fan.
Will Phillips squares it up. Here's O'Sullivan again getting involved. Looks for an option. Nice delivery. Getting the fist in was Pink. Got it away from Darling at ground level. Hanson. Daniel needs some support. Taken down the tackler was Stevens. Ball released back to Sherry. Now Logue. Good composure here from the blue team to retain possession and look for an option. Tucker now drives it towards the square. Darling in the middle of that pack. It gets to the back. Hanson, can he escape? Well done, Pink again. Scrambling defence. Tell us about the summer of Rob Hanson, because it takes a bit of time to settle in. Comes in a mid-season draft pick a couple of years ago now, and he's worked his way over 4 or 5 other options in that half-forward role to basically sign his spot in the number 1 team.
Yeah, it's just a credit to him. He sort of came over pretty raw, hadn't done a lot of training. His fitness wasn't at the level. He got a taste for it end of last season and just went on with it. Got super fit. You can see he's a lot stronger than what he was last year. So his stuff in the gym's really improved, and I think he's just overall developed as a player, and the confidence is starting to build.
Tristan Sherry with the shot for goal from 20 out directly in front, and he steers it through.
The 2023 draft crop obviously had 2 really early picks there and took Colby McKercher and Zane Dersma. How do you see their roles evolving across the course of the year? Colby obviously spent a lot of time across half-back last year, but he's looked like he's pushed onto a wing over the summer. And then Zane Dersma's made a really lively start as a midfielder today.
Yeah, so Colby will probably push forward and midfield a bit more.
Okay.
He was more half-back last year, so that'll release him to sort of hit the scoreboard, set up a few more goals, which we know he's very good at. And Zane's going to push up the ground a little bit more wing exposure today. He's playing in the mids just to get him working, and because he's such a good ball user, you want him getting it and not just finishing but setting up goals. Because if Zane gets the ball, generally good things happen. So he'll be forced to work a bit more up the ground and get him out of his comfort zone. And yeah, hopefully it's a good stepping stone for him.
So 3-1-19 to 1-3-9. Just under 10 minutes remaining in the opening term. 25-minute quarters. Clock only stops after goals. Phillips. Park had to be quick. Geordie Payne arrived in a hurry. Kick towards Zerha, and he's got it again at 50. Does he go back and have a shot? Sees an option in the pocket. Honours the lead from Curtis. It pitches just in front of Paul. In came Costanti. It was high with the tackle. Free kick to Pink. Advantage will be paid. McPherson over the head of Parker. Coming out to meet it was Daniel. Pops a handball. Ollie Lowe versus Daniel, and Lowe will take him to the line. Ollie Lowe, their number 6 in pink.
Saw Jacob Constanti give up a free kick there, but he was sort of one that got overlooked a little bit in the trade period last year. Happened very late in the piece, and obviously you had a big period with Caleb Daniel and Jack Darling and Luke Parker coming into the football club. But playing in the A side today, is he someone that you think will figure prominently early in the year for you?
Well, he's roundabouts. He's only joined in main training for a few weeks, so it's a credit to him to be out there in the A team. I think he just brings something a bit different. He's a real pressure player. He's got some real some anger and competitiveness in his game, which all forward liners need. So he'll get a taste. What he does with it is up to him. But yeah, we like what he brings. He's in your face type of player. I think the fans will like him.
Bode Stevens to Ben Hopkins, and that kick was looking for forward, but it went out of bounds on the full, so the free kick will be taken by Caleb Daniel. 8 1/4 to play in the opening term. The blue, which are the probables, leading the pink, who are the possibles, trying to break into this senior team. Kick from Daniel is marked by O'Sullivan. Nice grab, 40 metres out.
That's what you saw from him over the last 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, he can hurt you in different ways, the Foss. Very clean on the ground, but he's got massive vertical long arms and very brave in the air.
So he's been spending some time on the wing because it is such a stacked midfield, and obviously in time he will spend more time on the inside, but wing, forward, inside, all of those options, because you do also at the same time have to protect some of the youngsters, and if you've got other options, as Sullivan comes in and launches it all the way to goal, you can be patient.
Yeah, and I think with Finn, he's got such a great natural tank, so he'll be able to cover the ground AFL level on the wing, so it's a good way to ease him into it a little bit more than in the coalface. Because I think he probably finished 6th in our time trial. Like he's stepped in straight away with the AFL running base.
So that's Luke Urquhart. Got the free kick there, as you can see, a ready-made body for AFL. Jackson Archer with the intercept here.
Can I ask you, Will, last year obviously Finn had a pretty frustrating draft year with a couple of hand and finger injuries, but then I think for me the first time I saw him I thought, right, this is the Finn O'Sullivan we knew was at VFL level for Richmond. Was that a moment for you that you thought this guy's back to his best?
Yeah, that was we walked out of that game thinking, yeah, he's got it. He looked very comfortable in a pretty high standard VFL game. I think he had 13 touches and 7 of them resulted in goals. Off pretty limited prep, as you mentioned. Yeah. Like, it's very exciting when he gets a full run at it, Finn.
Free kick paid here.
And I mentioned before, he's just a great teammate, great clubman, plays to win. Everyone will enjoy watching him.
Paul Curtis has it 60 from goal. And he'll look to spear it low for a target, and that is beautiful delivery to Zerha. Well, Paul Curtis, Riley, we know what a talented prospect he is. He's only 21. He's played 59 games of football, and, well, by the 4th or 5th year, you start to figure things out, and he's been freakishly good in a side that's struggled. So when North Melbourne start to make their move up the ladder, just imagine how dangerous he's going to be. Yeah,
he's one of my favourites, Paul Curtis. Unbelievable talent. The ability to take a mark above his head as a small player is something that goes very underrated at AFL level, and he's got all of the tools in the book. So good pressure player, good everything.
Strong player for his size, incredibly strong in the gym. But this summer he's actually gone away and really improved his running, so he'll be able to work players over a bit more, which is exciting.
Cam Zerha gets his second goal for the opening term. Brutal is the word that's used when we talk about Paul Curtis, in terms of you've got some small forwards like a Hansen or a Cooper Harvey who are sort of the evasive, crumbing types, but a guy like Paul Curtis will run over you as opposed to around you. And it's good to have that mix, isn't it?
Yeah, very strong, natural. Like, you've got big hips, strong legs. I think him and Tristan are the number one bench press players at the club. So
wow.
For a guy who's 21, 22, pretty impressive.
When does the work start for you again, Will? When do the trial games pick up and you start going through the vision and sifting through the vision for 2025?
We've done quite a bit of vision already. Games start in a couple of weeks. At the moment, we're just getting around to the under-18 clubs, talking to their coaches, their footy managers, seeing who they're rating, who they're liking, and putting together a bit of a watch list for the team. But yeah, it'll come around pretty quick.
Parker to Sheasel. Went looking for Darling. Again, Pink managed to get a fist in there. Zerha extracts it, gives it to McKercher. Here is Curtis on the turn. Tackle affected the kick. Minor score.
He's a very underrated pressure player, isn't he, Jack Darling? I mean, comes to the football club as a veteran, but I think he was led West Coast for forward 50 tackles last year, and it's been a real facet of his game, and we've seen it a couple of times already with some chase down tackles. Is that something you're hoping to see from your big key forwards this year, Will?
He's always done it. I think even last year he was the number one pressure player for a tall in the league. So it's instinctive. He's got great agility, the big fella, and he's very fit. So yeah, he just does that instinctively.
Cal Dawson goes short. Here is Luke Urquhart.
Getting a lot of it, isn't he, Luke Urquhart?
Finding the football. This is Geordie Payne. It's the #1 draft pick in the mid-season draft last year. He goes to Bergman. Tell us a little about Geordie Payne from North Launceston, intercept, sort of rebound defender. Had a bit of a lower leg problem in the pre-season, but the last month or so he's been back into full training.
Yeah, he's just finding his feet, Payne. He's very, very competitive, which is what we liked about him. Played both ends, but I think we like him down forward where he can just pressure and harass. He's quite good in the air. He's good on the ground. He's got a few different strings to his bow.
Bergman coughs it up under pressure. Hansen.
He's just getting up to scratch fitness-wise, so it'll be a bit of a slower burn, Payne.
McKercher to Sheasel, and he bends it through. Lovely finish from Harry Sheasel. Kicked 14 goals, 1 last season. When he gets an opportunity close to goal, he generally makes them count. The #3 draft pick from 2022. And he's another, a bit like Finn O'Sullivan, that it's wonderful to have players who can legitimately play multiple roles at an elite level. And Harry Sheasel's certainly one of those. You could use him in any of the zones.
Yeah, he's already shown that he's impacted all 3 areas of the ground. As you said, good weapon to have along with a few others. I think that'll be something that Clark will use moving forward, just spin the magrets around, keep them guessing.
So when you have so many of those sort of players, and you do have 4 or 5 of them, is the tendency to say, listen, we'll use those guys because we know we can play them anywhere, so we'll put other magnets in other spots and we'll move them around, or do you still try to find the best spot for Harry Sheasel to deliver his absolute best football?
I think it's a combination. So they have a primary role, which Harry will probably be midfield, and then you rotate through the other spots. I think you'll find that's what they'll do with 4 or 5 of them this year. Nice problem to have.
Dersma off to Bode Stevens. Spears a kick to 50, and that's coming out to take the grab is Finbar Maley. And he is a fascinating prospect. Was playing footy, only started in 2021 at Eltham, played a couple of years at Division 2 up in the Northern League, and then had a trial with Essendon at the end of 2022. Jumped on the Northern Bull Ants list in 23, and then North Melbourne took him as a rookie last year. He has got an elite leap and hands, and this is the aspect of his game, the polish around the finishing side of things, Will, is the next step for Finn.
Absolutely. He's put in a lot of work in this area of the game, but as you said, he's got an absolute weapon with his hands and his leap and his competitiveness, so it's just going to be how much his kick can get to the level. But yeah, he's done well. He's a workhorse. He eats it up. Big fit man.
And still young, only 21 years of age, and certainly young in football terms. A raw, exciting prospect. McPherson pops it back up inside 50, and again we'll let the pink side fly at it. Eddie Ford will be paid the grab up in front. And he's been busy as well. Had plenty of the football in the opening term. Another one of these guys who Riley's had AFL experience, 32 games, 10 last year. But it speaks volumes of how healthy North Melbourne's list is at the moment. The guys like Eddie Ford are having to try and fight for a spot in that 23.
Yeah, I really like him when he's had his opportunities. He's a good player, he's smart around goals, you can see with that finish there. So he's done some nice things at AFL level, one that I'm sure we'll be hoping to get into North Melbourne's round 1 side. Will, I want to ask you about the couple of key position guys that you took at the back end of 2023. I know we mentioned Taylor Goad before, but Will Dawson's another one who's only playing a half today as he comes back from that shoulder surgery that he had before Christmas. I mean, Will got some footy under his belt last year. He's another one who's a very raw prospect and sort of had a really good second half of his draft year. But are you hoping these guys can play more senior opportunities and more senior footy over the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them have put on a fair bit of weight. I think Will's 12, 13 kilos, so he's just come back from a shoulder. That's why he's only playing a half today. But he competes really well down back. Good intercept mark. Showed he can play in the ruck a bit as well, which just adds to his game. So you think they'll get some opportunity, but
what a tap from Sherry. Down to Powell from 48 out. Couldn't quite finish it. Tugged it left. But that was just a delightful piece of ruck work from Tristan Sherry.
And Goaty, well, yeah, no one really knows what he's going to do. He's so big and athletic.
Got some media attention this week,
yeah,
Goaty, didn't he?
He had a couple of great sort of match plays the last 2 weeks where he won a bit of clearance, and just that's his point of difference, the follow-up, because he's so quick.
Cord and Noblet.
yeah, can't wait to see what he becomes.
Here's Ben Hopkins, who received it from Dylan Stevens. So Hopkins, that wiry rebound half-back type. Beautiful kick again. Weighted nicely to Cooper Harvey.
Cooper Harvey's obviously a father-son that's come through. You had another one in River Stevens last year. I really liked his aggressiveness and just how tough he was around the ball. But how have you seen his first few months at the football club?
No, he's thrown himself into everything, Riv. Like he's as you know, he's very light. So he sometimes struggles with the physical, absorbing contact stuff. But geez, he throws himself around. He laid a couple of massive smothers last week in the match play. He tackles really hard. And he's an elite runner, so he won our shuttle test, which is a credit to him. So he's going to take a bit of time to fill out, but yeah, overall skill set is got plenty to like.
Sheasel, lovely delivery to Colby McKercher. I'll have a shot from right on 50. Final 30 seconds of the opening term at Arden Street. Great to have you with us for North Melbourne's first intra-club of 25. What's up here?
I was just about to say you can put this one in the book with Colby McKercher. He doesn't even get the chance to take it.
Free kick will be reversed.
Be dirty.
Kick from McPherson to the wing. Out comes Whitlock. Wrapped up by Urquhart.
He's done some nice things on ground level, Matt Whitlock, hasn't he?
Daniel to Tucker. Has a bounce. Wants to draw the opponent towards him. Pokes it towards the pocket too far. And Larky, as the siren should sound for quarter time any moment. We played 31 minutes. Good start from the blue team. And there it is. Quarter time at Arden Street. It's the blue team, 33, leading pink 16. The blue team being the Probables, the team that's set for round one. The pink team, full of players, full of talent, that is trying to break into that round one side. We will take a quick break at Arden Street and be back with the second quarter action right after this. Arden Street Oval is the scene. North Melbourne's first intra-club of 2025. Great to have you with us, Jason Bennett, Riley Beveridge on the call. Good start from the blue team, who are the Probables for round one. They lead it by 16 points at the first change, 5-2-32 to pink 2-4-16. They're going to play this second term out, and then towards the back of the second term, there's going to be a stoppage and a 3-minute scenario. The score will be set 8-0 in favour of pink to give them a chance to practice shutting it, get quarter down, and blue a chance to come from behind. But for the first 20 minutes or so, they will play as per normal. As we start the second term, sharing the ruck against Goad, who got the tap down to Dersma. Quick kick will pitch inside 50. Coming out to meet it was Teakle, took it cleanly. Nice step, released it to Goad. Now to Dersma, off the left. Kick's going to drop short. It's going to be cut off by Luke McDonald. And he has it at defensive 15. Another special guest joining us for the second term, Brady Rawlings. Great to have you with us.
Good to be here, Jace.
What are you making of the action so far?
Yeah, it's been really positive. Obviously, it was a bit wet earlier on, and it's dried out a bit. So it's been some good signs. I think the first 5 or 6 minutes, the pink team looked really good, but blue probably showed a bit of their dominance after that.
Bailey Scott wrapped up in a tackle. Interesting you mentioned that. Speaking to a couple of coaches during the week, they've mentioned you've played a fair bit of probables versus possibles over the summer, and the games have been really even, which speaks to the depth of the entire squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes when you have these games, it can be a bit one-sided, but to our young fellas' credit in the pink team, and some of the mature guys too, like Teakle and Pink, and some of these guys have been around a bit. Callum Dawson. Really holding their own in practice matches. Run-down
tackle from Ford not rewarded, but the one from Hardiman was, so he'll deliver it inside 50. Teakle work to the front on Whitlock. Whitlock tries to stick to the task. Little give from Teakle. Payne, Stevens. Ford hemmed in on the boundary line. Swings it back to the top of the square. Maley jumped early. Urquhart front and centre, harassed by Daniel and Sheasel. We'll have a ball up. We spoke to Will Thursfield in the opening term about Luke Urquhart. What have you made of Luke Summer?
He's had a great summer. Yeah, he's come in and shown a great attitude. Some of his early practice matches, he was very impressive, and even found his way into the blue team a couple of times. So, he's for a mid. He's really strong in the contest. He stands up in tackles, but he's also got a good tank, so he can get from contest to contest and have impact that way.
Both Stevens and Hopkins link up. Did it nicely. Back inside 50 again. Coleman across the front takes the grab.
Matt Whitlock we saw before with a really nice spoil, and then Oh, Charlie might want that one back.
Coughs it up. It's picked off. And Cooper Harvey makes him pay.
I was going to say Matt Whitlock before with a nice spoil on Bryn Teakle and then the follow-up tackle. I mean, he's done a lot of good work on ground level today. It's obviously clearly a strength of his as is his competitiveness in the air. What have you seen from him in his first couple of months at Arden Street?
Yeah, another one that's really impressed straight away. He's and last year too, watching him when he played in defence at underage level, he doesn't just intercept in the air. He gets the ball back at ground level, and that's a really good trait for a big fella. He's very versatile. He played forward for the second half of the year in under-18s and really had some impact as a forward as well. So we like his versatility, but I think the competitiveness and ability to play on tools as a defender at the moment is probably his one wood. And as I said, the ability to be good in the air and on the ground for a tool is quite rare.
So that little scuffle when they got stuck into Charlie Comben gave another opportunity for Cooper Harvey, and he kicks 2 goals in 25 seconds. Good for the pink team to get right back in the contest. As we say, Brady, on a day like today, it's not about the scores, and we'll reset the scores towards the end of the quarter and do some scenario work. So if it's not about the scores, what is it about?
Oh, it's definitely about playing together and probably cohesion with your midfield and mid-forward connection. We've obviously got a lot of new players. Caleb Daniel, Luke Parker and Jack Darling as mature players, and Jacob Constanti. So there's 4 mature players out there in the starting 18. And then there's 2 draftees in Whitlock and O'Sullivan. So that's 6 new players from last year. There's other players that are probably getting more time inside in Powell and Phillips as well. So getting that cohesion is really important for a team. And
things getting a little spicy here in the second term. Sherry involved there, and Cooper Harvey again.
Cooper's been a bit of it, hasn't he? Yeah, he's got a bit of his dad's cheek today.
Those 3 guys that you spoke about before coming into this football club from last October in Luke Parker and Jack Darling, and then Caleb Daniel obviously across half-back as well. Clearly it was an area you targeted in terms of some experience to help out these younger guys and help their development. What have you seen from them in their first couple of months at the club?
Yeah, so you bring in players that have obviously been there, done that, premierships, all Australians, best and fairest. So they're terrific men, but they're also they've been around for a while, and our boys can look at them and know that this is what it takes to become a good AFL player. So they're experienced, they've got great knowledge, but they've still got their talent that they can show the boys how it's done.
Brilliant.
Just a big influence around that group, given we're so young. With the 18th oldest list in the comp. So without those guys, obviously would be youngest by a long way. So they're going to help us immensely on the field and off the field.
Dylan Stevens called to go. Sheasel arrives. Has to use Hardiman. Back to Stevens. Great pressure from Blue. Crunching tackle. And that was laid by Constanti. We spoke about his dog-hungry tackling style, and that's what he brings. Jacob Constanti. You've got some forwards who are offensive first. You've got some who are defensive first, and it looks like Jacob's that defensive first sort of guy and score off the back of those opportunities it creates.
Yeah, he sure is. We just saw the tackle there. His intensity to tackle. He tackles with his full body. So some guys as forwards might be a bit reachy and tackle with their arms. He tackles with his shoulder, gets his head in and hits really hard. So he's exactly what we need in that forward half. 2 years ago, we loved him in the draft, so followed him really closely for 2 years. And given he hadn't got a game over those 2 years, we obviously knew he was pretty gettable, and towards the end of the year, he really fell out of favour. So, happy to bring him in at trade period. We know there was a fair bit of interest from clubs at rookie time. So we thought would couple him up with Parker and get him in the trade rather than have to fight at rookie list time.
How late did that progress? Because there was a couple of clubs that were monitoring him throughout the trade period, hoping he'd slip through to the rookie draft. And then, as you mentioned there, he got sort of thrown into the Luke Parker deal. It seemed like it progressed late in the piece in the last 24 hours or so that started to develop. But how much throughout that trade period were you tracking his progress?
Yeah, we're always keen. We met with him a week or two before trade. At the time, it was probably looking like a potential rookie pick. As you said, there were 2 other clubs pretty interested. We thought, let's get him in at trade time and just take the other 2 teams out of the equation He probably looked at our squad too, knowing there was a bit of a hole with that pressure forward, and it suited both parties.
Turnover there from Miller Bergman, picked off by Larkey. He'll get an opportunity for a second shot in a minute. First one missed left. He's just poked at that one as well.
It's not like Nick Larkey.
Very
unlucky. Dead eye
unlike
in front of goal.
He's kicked 117 goals, 38 in his last 2 seasons, so he doesn't miss many. Certainly doesn't miss 2 in a row all that often. So another opportunity here for Pink to try and clear the zone. This is Hardiman, and he'll go long and wide to the far side of the ground. Flying there was James Tarrant. Couldn't quite haul it in. Another player of that old Scotch Premiership side, along with Alex Noblet.
I asked Will about this before, but the trade at draft time last year with Matt Whitlock to move out your 2025 first round pick, can you talk us through the strategy behind that and how confident you are in seeing improvement this season that can help you rise up the ladder? Because it's been a long time coming in terms of going to the draft repeatedly over the last couple of years. So you clearly felt you're at that stage to excel your list and bring in a player who fits a need for you in terms of a key position post.
Yeah, that's right. We're always looking at using our first pick for next year as a bargaining chip to go again at last year's draft. So we just want to bring in another excellent talent. We knew for a fair way out we were probably going to get Finn at pick 2. That key position player as our next pick was an important part of our strategy. And we had Matt ranked up pretty highly. Just got a mark taken on him then, but had him ranked really highly. And as he kept slipping, we kept looking at options to try and select him. It got further out than we thought, and once it got further out, we really wanted a future 2 back. So to be able to do it with the Tigers, swap our first for their second, and get Matt Whitlock, who we think is going to be a really important part of our future, was exciting for us. It might have looked like it was a lot to pay at the time, but really we're paying for Matt Whitlock. We're not paying for pick 27. We're paying for the player.
Yep. It was Tarrant to Urquhart to Finbar Maley, and he slots the goal. Good second term from the Pink team. They've added a few. And it's 5 goals apiece here at Arden Street now.
Sorry, Brady, but I've got to ask you the question. Luke Davies-Uniacke, obviously one of the biggest free agents in the game this year. How are talks progressing there? You got the contract on the table for him. Are you confident he stays?
I'd love for him to stay. He's an absolute star of a human being and a terrific player for us. I'd love to see him play his footy at North his whole career, and I've been able to retain pretty much all of our players over the journey, and we hope that he's one of those that plays his career out. The contract's been on the table for a while. Clearly, as a free agent, you might have a little bit to weigh up, but I know he loves this joint. I know he loves his mates, and he's got a lot of belief in these young blokes coming through. So confident, but until that he's signed on the dotted line, you can't be too confident. But confident he'll be a North Melbourne player for his career.
Larkey and Teakle taking a turn in the ruck. Cooper Harvey winning the free kick with the tackle on Larkey. Searching kick inside 50. Big pack of players. Is Whitlock at the front. Ball spills to Tarrant. Keeps it alive. Low to Maley. Awkward one for Teakle, who goes down and finds it on the deck. Hits the wrong side of the football, so it'll float towards the pocket. They've got options, and Urquhart takes a good, strong grab.
He's looked really good, hasn't he?
As Will Thursfield mentioned, elite water polo junior, dislocated the hip in January of 2023, switched his focus to footy over from WA. Just a natural ball hunter, can play wing too. He's got a body that's ready to play AFL football. And just a great appetite, Brady, to run and hunt the football and the man.
Yeah, we really saw it last year in particular in a game over in Perth against Vic Metro representing WA. Went up against a star-studded Vic Metro lineup, and to quarter time he'd absolutely brained them with probably 5 or 6 centre clearances. So he's done it against the best at under 18s level. As I said before, he's got a really good training attitude, and he's a big boy. So there's no reason why he can't have some impact straight away.
And he's got an elite tank and a 20-metre sort of explosive sprint as well. So he's got all those physical tools.
Yeah, it's he's got the blend that you're after as an inside mid with the power and the tank. So his first possession stuff's good. He's actually quite good overhead too when he goes forward. So he's got a few strings to his bow. He needs to work on his kicking a bit, but since he's been at the club, we've found that's improved already. But his ability to win the ball is what we really love, and his competitiveness and his ability to hunt the opposition.
So time for the blue team to step up here. They've conceded the lead. They've given up 4 goals in this term. Here's Curtis. Back onto his left boot. Doesn't hit the kick sweetly. Turns it over. And Pink having a really good second term here, making a statement. Some of these players on the outside looking in. Teakle. Daniel versus Harvey. Plucked out of the air by Scott. Handball towards Tucker. He's stripped of the football. Great work at ground level once again by Maley. And once again, Pink have it. Putting the pressure on the blue team right now. Highly competitive intra-club. Great to see. Kick had a little bit too much on it for Lowe, and Comben belts it to the line.
We spoke about Jacob Constanti before and the forward pressure he's added, but Jack Darling's another one that we mentioned it with Will, that he's underrated in terms of how much he does from his forward pressure point of view as well. How much does that change the dynamic of this forward group? And it's such an important part of the game now, being able to lock the ball inside 50.
Yeah, that's right. We went after Jack, obviously, for that experience, but the ability to make a contest in the air is what we really loved about him. We felt like we could do with another guy down there to help out Nick and Cam that can do that. He's actually really underrated with how he can get the ball to ground. He'll be 2v1 and he somehow still holds his ground and gets a fist in and gives the Crummers an opportunity. The other thing, when it hits the ground, he gets after him to tackle. So not only is he helping us in the air to make a contest, he'll get at him at ground level and tackle him as well. So he's really fit, really strong. He's been really durable in his career, and even if he's only having 3 or 4 touches in a game, we still know how he's competing and helping us that way.
Paul Curtis pushes all the way up to half back. Worked on his tank over the summer. Down the line, Darling read it best. Pack flew. Jack stayed down, took the grab. Hansen spreads. McKercher offers short. Longest option is Constanti. Or down the line to Zerha. He'll head in that direction. The kick isn't going to get as far as Cam Zerha. It's going to be picked off by McPherson. This is Darcy McPherson. Switches to Bode Stevens, another VFL listed player. We'll pop it over the top to Hopkins, and the VFL boys combining across half back. Hopkins searching kick to the wing for Tarrant. Good build up here from the VFL side. Low. The run from McPherson, who started all of this. Pink got a bit of flow and confidence right now. Archie's going to cut that off. And Blue being challenged.
Yeah, they are. The run and spread from Pink's been really impressive. Some of these VFL players have been training at our main sessions as well at AFL level and really putting their hand up. Like young Benny Hopkins, plays a 19-year-old last year for Dandenong. Really fit, good ball user and decision maker off half back. And Darcy McPherson's been terrific. He's an absolute pro, and his ability to play in different positions for us at VFL level 2 is going to be really important.
Beautiful kick from McKercher. Little chuckle there from Riley. You've seen that before. Yeah. And here's Constanti to go back and take the shot.
Just that breakaway speed through the midfield to take a bounce and then at full speed hit up that sort of kick. I mean, that's what we've seen from him in his junior days playing down in Tassie, and that's what we've seen from him in his first year across half back. His role's going to evolve this year. He's going to play as a forward half player as well. I want to know, like, when you're targeting these midfielders, and you've taken a lot of midfielders with early picks in the past, how important is that versatility? Because we've seen Colby do it, Harry Sheasel's done it, Tom Powell's played a bit on the flanks as well. How important is that for you as a recruiting team when you're looking at midfield talents?
Yeah, it's obviously we're taking a lot of mids, but the roles that some of these mids are playing and just touching midfield time or the wing. So the versatility for O'Sullivan, McKercher, Powell, Davies Uniacke can go deep forward. They're able to play different roles, which really help us. But Sheasel's another one. So these guys that get up high up the ground and then bring the ball back through the corridor and be able to bring the ball inside 50, they're good decision makers. They're all good ball users. So we think we've got a lot of talent and get up high up the ground and then use their run and decision making and ball use going inside 50. And obviously Jai's not playing today either, given he's playing the Indigenous All-Stars game. So he's another one to get high up the ground and use his run and ball use.
It's a good second term here from Pink. Here's Dersma, wins it for them again to Hopkins, who had 25 touches in a match sim last week and is heading in that direction again today. He's really been turning some heads at training over the summer, Ben Hopkins. Tarrant getting involved in this second term, great to see. Low, McPherson, back to Tarrant, who can play at both ends of the ground. James Tarrant was excellent in the ammos for Old Scotch in 2023 in defence. Moved forward last year and helped them win that flag, but he's looking at home in defence in this second term. Pressure on Maley from McDonald. Blue will retain it. Archer to Powell. And here goes the speed of McKercher again. Will look up for an option. Goes by hand. Here's Whitlock. Back to McKercher. Onto that left boot. Towards the pocket. It's well weighted for Zerha. Getting back was Dawson. But in the process, offended. And gives away the free kick to Cam Zerha, who's already kicked a couple of goals. And Cam Zerha's life, I get the feeling, is about to be made a little bit easier by having the arrival of Jack Darling. You've just got more options down there now. You've got a forward line that's looking a little bit more settled and mature. And suddenly it's not going to be all about Zerha and Larkey or bust. Yeah, exactly. I think with Larks and Jack down there, you see today that Cam's probably taken 6 or 7 marks. He's probably had 4 shots on goal, so he's probably going to get some matchups that are going to be favourable to him. The other one is Parker and Davis Uniac, probably been able to go deep forward as well. So Cam's ability to play deep, but then also chop out by going up a bit higher is pretty important for us. But he's another one like Jack that bring the ball to ground, but then really get after him at ground level. He's a hard bugger when there's someone there to be tackled. So, if we can keep the ball inside our forward 50 a bit better than we did last year, Cam's really important in helping us do that as well. Sheasel, kick smothered, comes back to him. Now to Comben, who took the intercept mark moments ago. That kick misses the target. He was looking for Phillips. Was cut off by Maley, who threw it. Couldn't quite get the left arm free. Tackle came from Will Phillips, who's had a great summer. He's been terrific, Will. He hasn't missed a beat this year. Obviously had a few health issues in previous pre-seasons. Probably see his body transform a little bit this year. He's covering the ground a lot better as a mid. His inside work's terrific, but he's been able to get across the ground a lot more and get a lot more ball on the outside. So adding that extra string to his bow as a mid's been important. But he's been our top couple of midfielders in performances throughout the pre-season. Sherry to Davies Uniac, who bounces at goal. Or did he get it there? That is a piece of brilliance. What a finish. And it's been a great response from Blue because they were genuinely challenged by Pink, who hit the front. But you've seen in the last 7 or 8 minutes, they've stepped up their work rate, they've controlled the game, regained the ascendancy. And again, that when we talk about what do you gain out of days like today, it's also looking at that sort of thing, isn't it, Brady, in terms of different match scenarios where suddenly you are under the pump as a team and individually to see which players respond, how they respond as a group, and get themselves back in control of a game. Yeah, definitely. We'll do a few scenarios at the end of some of these quarters as well, just to trial those things out. But I think you probably see with what we spoke about before, with some of these guys can seriously cover the ground in McKercher and Powell, getting back deep into defence and then helping run the ball out. I think McKercher's probably been key to probably 2 or 3 of our last 4 or 5 inside 50. So that's him playing high half forward and wing. It's not just providing the outlets, it's actually getting really hard back and then helping our ball movement once they do. Sherry in the ruck against Goad. Goad over the top, nice tap. Sheasel and Ford hanging on to each other. It's going to be a free kick going the way of Eddie Ford. In fact, it was Houghton against Sheasel, and the free kick is going to come back to the ruck contest in the end. It's going to Taylor Goad, who's got up a little bit sore. Put on a heap of muscle over the summer, worked on his strength and his power, and now it's being reversed back the other way. And so Pinker hopelessly out of position here. Sheasel comes cruising past, had multiple options, and picks Zerha. And Cam can go back and kick for goal number 3. How much stock do you put in to days like this, particularly from the guys in the pink side? So guys who are either on the AFL list and on the fringe trying to break in, or even the VFL listed guys who may be new to the program or might have been involved for a couple of years, are these the sort of days where you do just plant seeds in the back of your mind and go, hey, I remember that day you might have just had a glimpse here or a glimpse there, but there was something a bit more there than maybe I realised?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's coming up to this sort of standard for some of these guys to play against, our senior AFL team. If they can stand up and play well in these games, it certainly helps their chances. We rate our VFL team and our program really highly. A couple of years ago we brought Tyler Sellers up as a VFL player, and he got opportunities in SSP, and we love to keep looking at opportunities we could give some of our VFL listed players. So it's not just this; it's training throughout the week. But yeah, if we're not as a recruiting team, if we're not watching it live, we're watching the vision as well. So all our recruiters are here today. Keep an eye on these guys as well.
Riley, when you're watching it from effectively you're a media recruiter of sorts, right? You sort of span the fence. You're there looking at all these kids coming through the system, and even guys like this today, I'm sure you're doing your homework on some of the VFL listed players to sort of go, well, hey, this guy's could be this. What are you looking for in terms of glimpses?
To be honest, the one thing I look for is, I've watched Finn O'Sullivan play for the best part of 2 years now. It's how it translates to AFL standard when he's playing against AFL listed players week in, week out now. And I mean, Luke Urquhart, as you've mentioned, is someone that we've seen glimpses of over the last couple of years. I probably definitely haven't watched as much of him as you and Will would have, Brady. But, I mean, seeing him out here today, you can see, well, I saw him do that for WA a couple of times, and now he's doing it against bigger bodies and AFL-listed players, and you get that validation that those sort of players can make it at this level. So it's always fascinating to see the skills translate. Not everyone's going to be a Harry Sheasel and be almost one of the best players in the competition from day one. So a lot of them take their time, but yeah, it's North Melbourne's one of those clubs now where they're going to be a fascinating watch this year because of the sense that, as you mentioned, Brady, still the youngest list in the competition, which is hard to believe given the transformation that Richmond's gone through and how much work they've done to their list in shearing some experienced players off their list over the last couple of years. So for North Melbourne, it's still to be the youngest list in the comp, but the expectations are going to grow, understandably, given that a lot of these players they've brought into the football club over the last couple of seasons are a year older and a year more into their development. So I think they're one of the most fascinating teams to watch coming into 2025.
Beautiful finish there from Bailey Scott. His finishing ability might be a little bit underrated. He's kicked 32-17 at AFL level. And that was a really smart kick, just carved out to the right a little bit to gain those extra couple of metres and rode the breeze beautifully. So he played a bit of wing, sort of half forward last year. I understand he's probably more wing half back maybe in 25.
He'll play a lot of time in the wing. Yeah. He played a little bit half back last year as well, just to help us with a bit of run and overlap. But we think he gives us the best opportunity as a wingman. He covers the ground a treat. He gets back in defence to help out. He's a good leader out in the field as well, Bailey. He's really stepped that up over the last couple of years. We think he holds his width really well. Just even positioning here in contests like this where he just gets into really good spots to receive, holds the outside of a contest really well to give us some coverage there too if we don't win that ball. So, yeah, he's a real traditional wingman.
Free kick to Jack Darling for the hold. And Blue really have taken control of the contest in the last 15 minutes after being challenged heavily in the first 10 minutes of the term. And here's an opportunity for Jack Darling.
I'll back him in here. I've seen him kick a lot from 30 out. He kicks them really low and flat.
It's probably a good thing because the breeze is playing a little bit of havoc today, pulling everything from right to left at that end of the ground. And he just chips it straight through, no problem. 4-foot putt for Jack.
Brady, as a list manager, how do you see the landscape changing across the next couple of years with Tasmania about to enter the competition? And obviously they're going to get we're going to know a lot more about their list strategy over the next 12 months or so with the concessions about to come through. How do you see the entire landscape of this trade and draft and free agency movement looking in the next couple of years with Tasmania coming into it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Riley. It's obviously we don't know the full rules just yet. We're planning for certain scenarios already. We have been for a year to 2 years. So, yeah, obviously each club's in a different position. And with Tasmania coming in, that each club's thinking how it's going to affect them or what they need to do to get ahead of it. So we've obviously gone very heavy at the draft over 5 years now, since 2000 really. So and we wanted to really go hard again last year. We'll continue to draft, but we want to be in a position over the next couple of years we can add to this with some maturity too, and hopefully we start climbing up the ladder, we become a bit more attractive to some trades and free agency players. And being able to do that before Tasmania comes in as well is really important. So there's heaps to think through. There's retention, there's how it affects your draft hand, trade and free agency, and what Tasmania can probably offer compared to other clubs is going to be really interesting. So we've got to think about everything. Even picking up Tasmanians over the next year or two, like all those things come into it. We'll be really prepared for anything that happens. Any sort of rules that come out, we'll be all across and make sure we do the best thing for our club.
River Stevens in 36, Hopkins involved again. Sherry in the middle of that pack takes a good grab over the top of Teakle.
You got one of the best Tasmanians in at the moment in Colby McKercher. I mean, does it affect how you look at his contract and think you try and get him locked down maybe earlier than you once would have?
Yeah, definitely. Clearly, when we drafted Colby, we knew that Tasmania was coming in. 4 years down the track, albeit. So, we took the opinion that we'll take him where we took him and back ourselves in that we can hold on to him for his career. Clearly, as a pick 2 from Tasmania, every 4 years into his career, he's clearly going to be a target for them. But we know he loves it here, and would love to extend him out for as long as we can. So it'll be interesting the next year or two. Once the list rules come in, and once probably they start getting some staff and who they start to prioritise, we'll know a lot more then. But we'll be looking to retain him, no doubt. He's a little ripper.
So we're going to have a 3-minute drill now. The scores will be reset with Pink 8 points up, and we're going to simulate the last 3 minutes of a quarter. So obviously for the Pink team, it's to defend that lead, and for the Blue team, it's to open the game up, expand it, and try to come from behind and pinch the win. What percentage of your training in any given week is sort of based around match simulation or match scenario sort of stuff, Brady? Is that stuff that you do a lot of?
Yeah, a lot of it's education throughout the week. But there's also, we also train it physically. So you see the guys coming together now. Jack Darling's coming up to speak to the mids, so they'll be discussing what they do at stoppage, what they do at centre bounce, different scenarios inside forward 50, maybe at a forward 50 stoppage. So it's really good in the heat of battle when the clock's ticking down and they've got to make these decisions with time constraints and with opposition and a score there that they're behind. So being all on the same page is critical to it, and how they communicate with each other to make sure a stoppage setup, or it might be getting on the move a bit more at stoppage, or hitting a forward, or whatever they've discussed. They'll try and impart this while they're 8 points down, and the backs need to communicate with the mids need to communicate with the forwards, and vice versa. So it'll be very important 3 minutes here. You can see the wings here, even they've changed their position. So just some different things that you'll do to obviously either protect the lead or come from behind.
So here we go, 3-minute drill. Urquhart wins the football, but going nowhere, wrapped up by Sherry.
Must have been nice then to see Eddie Ford going behind the footy now as well, but it must have been nice then to see Luke Parker and Jack Darling be the two that got everyone in then in the huddle just to try and give some instruction there. That's clearly a reason why you recruited both of them.
Yes, and then, just see there, Shields will get some space to run into and draws a free kick, and we get a forward 50 entry out of it. Bailey Scott as a wing's gone forward to make his wingman accountable. So a couple of little things like that you can already see that the boys have imparted.
Urquhart wrapped up, the kick from Powell floats out of bounds on the full. So now we get a chance to have a look at Pink's set up to move the football out, and Blue's set up to try and lock it in the front half. Toby Pink's kick goes long down the line. Teakle was the target. McDonald got the crumb, heads to the pocket. Hanson's there. Awkward one for Ford, wrapped up by Darling and be going no further. So now we get a stoppage scenario in the pocket to see, can Blue open this up, create the score, can Pink bottle it up and stop that from happening? They've got lots of numbers around the ball here. Kaur and Zerha working off the ball. Nice tap from Sherry to a dangerous spot. Hansen and McKercher both there, but wrapped up. Goad and Sherry. It's going to be a free kick. It's going the way of Taylor Goad. Tristan Sherry just seeking clarification.
I'm sure he's too happy with that one.
So again, can Pink find a way out here? Blue are going to force him to kick it long down the line to a contest. Combin's there, Teakle's there. Maley came over the top. Daniel at the back to McDonald. Through some traffic. Combin, quick hands. Powell. Now the space has opened up. Kick for Tucker. Pitch just in front of him. He was corralled by Stevens. Receives the handball back from Daniel. Tucker drives it inside 50. Massive players underneath this one. Fisted to the front. Scott couldn't control it. It's tapped away. Stevens to Stevens. It was bowed to Dillon. Will Pink concede? He's happy to let it out. Blue continue to press. Minute to play. Goad and Sherry will go at it again. Sherry trying to hand it off to Zerha. Can he find his right boot? He can. It was smothered immediately. Harvey comes in, lays the tackle, and so far Pink doing a good job at bottling this up.
Yeah, they've held on really well here. Their contest, being able to lay the tackles, long down the line kicks, good contest down the line as well. A couple of rushed over the lines. But yeah, really important here for Tristan to obviously kick the goal, but do it at enough time where we can still have another crack to kick our second goal.
So to keep the scenario alive, Sherry from 40 out, goes back and misses left again. That breeze is playing havoc at the right of screen. And a let off there for Pink. With about 38 seconds to play roughly in the scenario. So let's see what their defensive option looks like from the kick in. Ford happy to soak up a little bit of time here. Wastes 5 seconds and then pops a handball to Pink. Gets the kick away ahead of the Darling pressure. It's long towards the wing. That's a really important mark, Geordie Payne. And they should just be able to lock it down from this position now, you would think. Tell us a little about Geordie Payne's summer. He started with a bit of a lower leg problem, but last month or so he's sort of been back into full training.
Yeah, he had a bit of shin awareness. So he missed probably a 4 or 5 week period there, which wasn't ideal coming into his first pre-season, given we took him in the mid-season draft. So, but the last 3 or 4 weeks he's been able to train real heavily and get back into this match sim. Now he's playing a full game. So, yeah, he's probably been on the same sort of routine as Dersma. Ders was probably on the same level, so they've come through together. Now playing full games of footy. So, Geordie's a half forward that's really strong, competitive. But as you saw there, he's really good overhead as well. So, he's a hard little bugger and likes to get after him and put the pressure on. So, yeah, it'd be good to see him with a few games under his belt.
To finish, expectations for 2025. Won 15 games in the last 5 years, but it feels like you've now assembled a core group of talent that can now grow together and come through together. What are you guys expecting as a coaching staff and management team?
Yeah, definitely want to see, obviously, improvement. Number of wins, not too sure on that, but just want to see us going into games expecting to win and have that belief. That's why we brought in blokes like Parker and Darling and Daniel to add to that belief. There's a lot of talent out there, a lot of high draft picks, and if they can play together and gel, there's no reason why we can't improve dramatically, in my opinion.
Brady, thanks for your time as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.
Best of luck for the rest of the game today and for the road ahead.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks to Brady Rawlings. We're going to take a break here. It is half time. Back with the third quarter action in round about 10 minutes. This is North Melbourne's Intra-club 2025. Getting set for second half action as we welcome you back to Arden St Oval, North Melbourne's first Intra-club of 2025. Jason Bennett alongside AFL.com.au draft guru Riley Beveridge. In fact, I'm going to extend it. Just football guru. Just AFL.com.au guru.
Thank you, Jace.
Riley Beveridge. Riley, who caught your eye in the first half? It was a really, really entertaining contest. Blue dominated early. Pink really took control early in the second term, and then it was great to see Blue step up.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, as you mentioned a couple of times across the first half, it was great to see the Pink side really make a contest of it, and it goes to show the depth that North Melbourne is starting to build across the board here, because it is clearly a much stronger Blue team. That looks like their potential round one lineup at the moment with Pink. There's those sort of players that are trying to break into that side between now and a month's time when they're due to play the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium on that Saturday night. So in terms of who caught my eye, I mean, Colby McKercher had flashes of some brilliance in that second quarter. We saw him take a couple of running bounces through the midfield and set up a couple of goals as well. I mean, he's clearly playing a different role this year. He started his career at AFL level across half back, but he's playing that wing half forward role where he can make a difference with his speed and his running power, and also his kicking ability on that left foot in the forward half. And we've seen him be involved in a couple of goals already today. So Colby McKercher is certainly one for me. And then Luke Parker, I mean, everyone knows what he's been able to do. He's played 290-odd games. He's won a premiership. He's won best and fairest for the Swans. But he had his role changed last year. It's why he found himself out of the side for long periods after coming back from that injury. And but he's gone back into a midfield, playing as a pure inside midfielder this year and a centre bounce midfielder as well. And he's found the footy, a lot of it in the first half, and has been one of the most prolific players on the ground. And then for the Pink side, I mean, Zane Dersma had a really lively start playing as a midfielder, and Luke Urquhart, their third pick in last year's draft out of Western Australia, has done some really nice things. We saw him kick a goal from the boundary as well, which would have been a great boost to his confidence. And Brady Rawlings, North Melbourne's list boss, told us that he's had a couple of training sessions in the A-team across the summer, and I'm sure he's one that's probably identified a potential role for himself this year, just in terms of whether or not he can break into that senior side. So yeah, there are a couple of guys that have caught my eye in the first half, and there'll be a couple more, I'm sure, that'll be looking to press their case in the second half.
And from a VFL listed perspective, Darcy McPherson was outstanding, maybe the best man on the ground in the first half. He had an outstanding first half. And Ben Hopkins, the 19-year-old from Langwarrin and Danny under-18s, who just missed out on being mid-season drafted last year, as a sort of a wiry rebound half-back. Had plenty of the football in that first half and was really impressive, as we're joined by a special guest. Zach Fisher joins us. G'day, Zach.
We're off?
Yeah, you are. You're on.
How are we?
I'm well, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Punched out a rehab session this morning, and good to watch the boys play.
So where are you at? Tell us about your summer and the setbacks that you had, and what's the path forward from here?
Yeah, I was dealing with an Achilles at the start of the off season, which was a bit frustrating, and sorry, I had a breath run up the stairs. Took me a while to get back into the main group and start doing match sim, and then did a little hammy, which was a little frustrating, but yeah, it's a little one, so should be back. Touch and go for round one.
So from a rehab perspective, how long before you're sort of back out of the rehab group and into the main group?
I think it'll be session to session, but the hammy's feeling really good at this stage, so haven't had too much awareness, but I think it'll just be a day-to-day process.
Who's caught your eye in the first half, Zach?
I can't say I've watched too much. I was in the gym for the first quarter, and then are we on?
Yeah.
And then my wife and Quinn are here, so I was just conversing with all the families over there. So it'd be good to watch some of the game.
Let's have a look at the second half action. It's going to be Tristan Sherry in the ruck against Taylor Goad. Don't worry too much about the scores. Irrelevant today. Beautifully done from Phillips to bust away. Davies Uniac. It's an overlap run from Powell. A play put down off the ball. It's going Pink's way.
Absolute coach killer, that.
That was Paul Curtis getting rid of Cooper Trembath, and a shot at goal suddenly becomes a Pink ball. So it's going to come all the way back to where the ball was when that free kick was given, and it's going to go to Goad at centre half back.
Easy chance to earn your stripes, Zach. You could be a co-commentator one day, mate.
So Ben Hopkins has it. We spoke about his influence in the first half, Riley. He's had plenty of it. Good composure down back.
Certainly has. One of these guys that'll be looking to catch the eye of some AFL recruiters across the comp. Obviously the SSP period's still open, so we're looking to do a bit of that. Zach, you mentioned there you became a dad over the off-season. I mean, how's the sleep schedule going for you, and how are you enjoying it?
Well, I'm in the spare room at the moment, so I'm still getting my 8 hours. But no, it's been a bit of adjustment. Obviously, we don't have too much family over here, being from West Australia, but it's been new and exciting.
Here's Matt Whitlock. Spoken at length about him so far today and an impressive summer. And here's McKercher, one of Riley's best in the first half. Pink set up well behind the ball here. McKercher will pop it up. Pink at the front in more ways than one. And Toby Pink takes the grab.
Zach, one of your good mates, he's obviously George Wardlaw, and you've been doing a bit of rehab with him over the last couple of weeks as well. How's he tracking and how's he feeling? Because it must have been frustrating for him doing another hammy right on the eve of the season.
Yeah, George's attitude's been great, obviously. Takes a couple of days to sort of feel sorry for yourself, but then I think he's bounced out of it really well. He's an interesting character and brings a lot of energy, so I'm actually really enjoying doing my rehab with him.
Daniel goes short. Tucker pokes the kick to Sherry. Overlap run was McKercher. That was covered by Dersma. That kick a little dangerous. Powell, not the required distance, wrapped up by Cooper Harvey. Who's impressed you? Who's caught your eye over the summer, Zach?
I feel like a lot of the boys have shouted out Powley. Will Field's been really good in there. I think he's added a lot of composure in this game. He's seeing the game really well. Witters down back actually has impressed me as a young kid. I thought his composure and standing under some high balls. There's not too much of him. There's a lot more of him than me, but he's still looking for the contact with the Larkies, so he's doing really well.
Here's Daniel weaving through some traffic, and then a well-weighted kick to the back for Curtis. And this man, Paul Curtis, has had a big summer from all reports.
Yeah, he's come back in great condition, as I feel like everyone has. PB in his 2K, but he's just a really strong human being, so he benches 160.
Yeah, they were saying in the first, I think Will said us in the first quarter that he and Tristan Sherry lead the way in the gym.
He does. He's really strong. X obviously has about 30 kilos on him, so it's almost cheating.
Curtis from the pocket. No, you're going beautifully. It's just pushed across the face for a minor score.
Zach, where do you reckon you'll be playing this year? Because you obviously recruited the club as a half back. You played a bit of half forward at times last year, did you? And then back into the back line. So where do you reckon you see yourself in 2025?
At this point in time, I think it's over the half back line. I've done all my pre-season, which hasn't been too much, but at the half back line. But I'm always open to go forward. I think my best football has been at the half forward, and I guess having that versatility can keep you on the side. So miss celebrating the goals.
Have you found your first couple of years at Arden Street? Obviously, you made the move from Carlton. It was a big move for you. Have you found your time here so far?
I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, the people and throughout the whole club are really great, but it's definitely different coming in as an 18-year-old where you're sort of a lot more open to go shake nearly every man in their dog's hand. But no, it's been good, and I had obviously Griffin Logue here, so the transition was made a lot easier.
Ball in dispute. Hopkins takes it, but nowhere to go. And you become a veteran of the AFL system pretty quickly, don't you? It always seems like you're always the kid at Carlton, one of the younger guys, and then suddenly you get all this wave of kids at a club like North Melbourne, and you take a different role within a footy club, and now you're sort of a wily veteran, a young veteran, let's say.
Yeah, I don't feel like a veteran, but my partner was at the Partners Day the other day, and she was the fourth oldest, so she's definitely feeling it as well.
Forward to Dersma. Now to River Stevens. He's got a man over the top if he can get the handball there. Going to have to stand and wait, though. Made life difficult for Hardiman. It was picked off by Zerha. He pops it to McDonald. He wants to try and get away from Harvey, which is easier said than done. Hansen kicks into the smother. Urquhart and Hardiman putting on the pressure. Zerha to Daniel to Luke McDonald. Back to Caleb Daniel. He looks for an option at 15. Delightful kick generally. That one pitches just in front of Curtis. Good pressure. Was hammered in the tackle. But the kick was still good. And Larkey has it.
How have you seen your mate Griffin Logue's summer? I mean, obviously he had some injury issues last year, which would have been frustrating for him, but he looks in good nick out there at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's weighing in at 105, so he's a pretty big boy, but he's a really good athlete. Obviously, in the time trials does really well, but I think the continuity in his pre-season's been great. And I think just after, a hand and a...
Wrist, wasn't it?
Wrist, yeah. He's just playing with a lot of gratitude. He's gone out and enjoying training, and I think he's getting the most out of himself.
Nick Larkey gets his first goal of the afternoon. Obviously, a lot of focus on education with such a young group. A lot of classroom time, although Michael Barlow tells me that probably 20 or 30% less classroom learning and 20 or 30% more on the grass learning over the summer. What have been the key focuses? What are the areas of the group from an education perspective that the coaches have really been trying to drill into the players?
Good question.
Thank you. I ask a few every now and again. It's just a law of averages thing. If I ask enough.
I think the key for us is to, or stoppage setups, and if we get those set up really early, we're obviously very young and you get drafted off instinct and talent. So if we can get set up early, I think we can just play the game. So the preparation we do off the field will help us play good football on the field.
Teakle into the ruck now. Take his turn against Tristan Sherry. Neither an effective tap, but then Sherry with the punch on. Stevens, Bode Stevens to Teakle, who's wrapped up by Paul Curtis.
Finn O'Sullivan was obviously the pick 2 coming into the footy club, Zach. What have you made of him since he's arrived at the club? Because he's a pretty talented young kid.
Yeah, actually, old teammate Jack Savani used to coach him at Xavier, but
Yeah, right.
he's very explosive. I think he in a phone box at stoppages, he's really classy and strong. Good set of hands, and overall, I think he's a really good kid. So, good shoe from Colby McKercher there.
Davies Uniac
He'll like that one as well.
to McKercher to Hansen. Here's a chance for Robert Hansen from 40 metres out, who has, in the pecking order, jumped over a few in that half-forward role over the summer and got himself into the blue team. So in the mix for round 1, Rob Hansen, having been at the club now for 18 months or thereabouts. And it does take some time, doesn't it? Rob came over from WA as you did originally at Carlton. Just take some time to settle in, find your feet, find where you belong, learn about professionalism, professional programs, what it takes to make it at this level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just compounding a few pre-seasons, you hear that a lot from, a lot of experienced players, how important those pre-seasons are. But I think for Robbie, just the work ethic that he's put in this off-season, and his attitude's been great.
Kick out towards Hansen again. Keeps it alive. Awkward bounce for Constanti. Pinker got some numbers around this one. Stevens links up. Hardiman receives from Ewan McPherson. Good kick to the outer side. Here's Cooper Harvey, one of those players in pink, hunting for a spot in the blue team, which is the probables, to try and force their way in for round 1. Darcy McPherson, who's been absolutely outstanding. One of the best on the ground in the first half. Had a power of work to get through across half-back, as is this man, Ben Hopkins. They've been the mainstays down back for Pink. Here's Riley Hardiman. Good set up forward of the football here from Blue, forcing Pink to just be patient. Ewan McPherson, who's checked into the game after half-time. Aidan Corr played his half. He was only ever planning on playing a half as he works his way back to full fitness. Curtis, the turnover comes. McDonald, Daniel, Davies Uniac, Bailey Scott to pull the trigger. Floats it high. Darling used the body. Pink got a fist on it. Good forward press there from Blue to just hold Pink up and force a turnover.
Absolutely.
I'll thank you for that.
Slow quarter.
I reckon you got a career in this one day, Zach.
Yeah, back yourself in.
Special comments only.
You want to take some play-by-play?
If you like, have a go. Straight up the middle over the head of Hopkins, who almost received it back from Urquhart. McPherson paddled forward, nicely controlled by Hardiman, and they managed to carve straight through the middle here, but the handball missed River Stevens. Coming strongly the other way was Comben. Here's O'Sullivan, shrugs the tackler, and now Blue can run back at Pink. Parker, Daniel, McKercher will have a bounce onto that trusty left boot, floats it towards Darling with a beautifully weighted kick.
Such a good kick, isn't he, Colby McKercher, on that left foot. Doesn't miss many.
We're seeing a bit of end-to-end ball movement as the game starts to open up a little bit in this third term. What's up for the rest of the weekend, Zach? At this time of the year, obviously weekends are pretty precious. They're running out. There's not many of them left until you get stuck into the main thing of the season. What do you do with the weekends at the moment?
I think just dad duties. I've got a board game night on Sunday night, so that'll be riveting. But
life's changed, doesn't it?
I know. The sun's not out, so no, not too much.
Did you get back to WA over the summer?
Over the Chrissy break?
Yeah.
No, I didn't actually. Well, Quinn was born on the 22nd of December, so
Right, okay.
first Christmas away from home, which was quite sad. But no, the new addition was loved.
Have you had the family come over here to meet the young fella?
Yep, young girl.
Oh, young girl, sorry,
That's right,
apologies.
I'll do it again. No. Yeah, we've had Bellas and my family just float through, which has been lovely.
Eddie Ford to Hardiman to Stevens of the Dillon variety. Smothered off his boot. Well done by Whitlock. Creates the turnover. They don't have numbers forward, and he finds Harvey. And Matt Whitlock, we've been raving about him. We've heard from behind the scenes today how good his summer's been. Well, that was impressive, and Larkey gets on the end of it and kicks his second for the quarter. Zach, we appreciate your time. Best of luck for...
Am I done?
Well, if you like. You want to stick around for a bit longer?
That's all good.
I want to get you to do a bit of play-by-play. I sort of got the vibe you were trying to sneak out the door.
I don't know.
Didn't want to hold you up.
Names, no.
Well, this is a great opportunity to learn some of your teammates.
I'm happy to call it there, guys.
Thanks. Lovely to see you as always, mate. Best of luck for the year. Zach Fisher joining us as he heads back to go and check out the team list and learn some teammates' names. So Larky's kicked a couple in this third term. Some great work there from Matt Whitlock. Cam Zerha's kicked 3, a couple to Larky. And then on the pink side, 2 to Cooper Harvey, both in the space of about 20 seconds, kicked a goal. And then got into a scuffle with Charlie Coleman, got another opportunity and kicked another.
Something tells me we'll be reminding him about that during the week as well.
He's been one of the main agitators today, Cooper Harvey. So midway through the third term at Arden Street. Zane Dersma taken down by Jack Darling. Teakle the tap was a nice one to Ewan McPherson, who found his boot under pressure. Sheasel couldn't control it, went head-to-head with Dersma. Sliding in was Payne, and over the top came Darling. Gave away a free kick in the process. So an opportunity for Pink to spend some time in their front half here. Zane Dersma. Delayed start to his summer due to a shoulder injury and some niggles, but back to full strength now and pushing for a spot in round 1. Big pack of players. Numbers at the back are in blue. Whitlock, an awkward one. Collected it, was taken high in the process.
Would have been one of the more impressive things that North Melbourne fans watching on at home would have seen then. The Matt Whitlock, the gather, and then the precision kick to Nick Larkey to set up that last goal. That was one of the best acts we've seen today, I think. So plenty of positive signs from Matt Whitlock across the course of the morning.
He just forced his way into the probables over the summer. His ability to read the ball in the air, really strong in the air, but then also to create an overlap and provide some offense going back the other way. To the wing. Tapped down by Trembath. Payne's handball a little fierce for Ewan McPherson, who's dragged down, affected the kick. McKerchup releases Will Phillips on the overlap to McDonald. He's got a man out in space. It's Hansen, and away goes Rob Hansen. He's got some run. Has a couple of bounces. Gets to 40. Was good pressure from Will Dawson, but couldn't affect the finish. And Rob Hansen with some class on the run. Gets his first of the afternoon.
Really nice finish there from Rob Hansen.
And they have an embarrassment of riches in that kind of role right now, don't they, Riley? That classy half-forward flanker type player.
Yep.
They've got a number of them, so there's going to be some really good players that miss out. That's going to be probably just about the most competitive area of that best 23. At any given time, there's going to be at least 3 or 4 AFL quality half-forwards who just can't get a game.
Well, we've seen today, I mean, even the likes of Eddie Ford, who's looked really exciting, and Cooper Harvey, who's done some nice things, but then Zane Dersma, who's probably looking at one of those half-forward roles for himself, starting on the pink side today and playing a bit through the midfield as well as he tries to take a claim for himself.
Throwing Eddie Ford as well, and you've got 3 or 4 guys that they can't all play, they can't all fit into the side, so it's going to be fascinating to see the scramble and the jostling for positions.
Even Geordie Payne's done some nice stuff today, and they've noted that forward role for him across the summer, and he's looked good for the pink side at stages today as well.
Classy finish there from Hansen. So Goad has swapped jumpers. He's into the blue team. Davies Uniac down to Powell. Back to Davies Uniac. McDonald. Spears to half forward. O'Sullivan went one-handed, couldn't quite haul it in, then laid some body on Dersma. Well done by Ollie Lowe. Stevens under pressure, had to release a handball. That's a heavy hit. Down went Dersma against Bailey Scott. He's slow to get up. O'Sullivan. Will Phillips goes towards Parker and finds him. And Caleb Daniels just coming across to check on Zane Dersma behind the scenes as the medical staff arrived. That was a big, big hit.
Yeah, it certainly was. One of those ones where he was airborne when the contact came, which you then struggle to adjust and readjust in midair to find where you're going to land. So that was a big hit on Zane Dersma, and we hope he's all right. Looks like he's just had the wind taken out of him, though. He's sort of catching his breath now.
Oof, yeah, that was heavy. Bailey Scott went over just to check on him, and medical staff now assessing him as Luke Parker from 40 out steers it through. Kicked 3 goals in the grand final for Sydney last season. Spent 5 years there as their captain. What a great player he's been. One of the greats of the modern era. 293 games since being drafted back in 2010. Premiership player in 2012. 3-time best and fairest. Top 3 in 6 of Sydney's last 8. Second in a Brownlow medal back in 2016. He's been a super player. And look, it's a great example of, at 32 years of age, a win-win. For the Swans, he was being squeezed out. They're so deep in the areas in which he plays. But for the Kangaroos, it's, well, if he can stay fit and healthy, what a bonus to be able to bolster an area of the ground with that big-bodied midfielder and a smart player who can go forward and offer leadership. It really could be a great win-win trade.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And certainly someone as well that has that flexibility through the midfield, in the sense that he's played on a half-forward flank before in the past and did it quite effectively on grand final day for the Swans. He was one of the few from Sydney that could hold their head high after that grand final. So, yeah, really good pick-up for North Melbourne, and I'm sure they'll be hoping he can add some great depth and leadership and experience through that midfield group.
Ollie Lowe, the former Sandringham Zebra in the VFL, who's now switched to North Melbourne. Well done, River Stevens. A look-away handball to Dylan Stevens. Goes to ground, has to release quickly to Urquhart. Urquhart will snap towards the top of the square. It's Charlie Harrop with a couple of beat. Gets rid of Archer. Wins the football himself. Harrop from the boundary line misses. Would have been a pretty handy goal from Charlie Harrop, the 19-year-old from Beaumaris. Has known Tom Lynch, an ex-Beaumaris boy, since he was a kid. Was the captain of Haileybury's premiership team in 2023, and then spent time at Sandy under-18s, and then Old Haileybury last year and played in their premiership, kicked 29 goals, including 9 against Old Ivanhoe in round 18, and then 3 goals in the grand final. And Tom Lynch just thinks that Charlie Harrop is ready to take that next step. He'll play VFL footy at North this year as Daniel goes long. Picked off by Toby Pink. Pink will set it up. Tarrant tries to get to the front and fly. Spills to the back. Connor Downey, number 12 against Jackson Archer. Archer wins it. McDonald. Daniel. Chip short. Finds Taylor Goad. Off to Powell. Sheasel on the run. Some of their run from the back overlap plays been exciting this afternoon. Kick to half forward. Darling will move it forward looking for Larkey and finds him. Nice transition once again from the blue team.
Yeah, it certainly was. They've come out really hot and started this third quarter really well. So just a couple of notes on the teams as well. You mentioned Taylor Goad going onto the blue side. So Tristan Jerry has now come off. He's done for the day. I think that was just a management issue for North Melbourne. Zane Dersma came from the field before after that big hit, but he looks like he's okay down there on the boundary now. And as we said, Will Dawson's come into the side for Aiden Core. That was planned as well, as both come back from respective surgeries across the course of the off-season.
And Nick Larkey kicks his third for the quarter. 3 goals, 2 for Nick so far this afternoon.
This is the sort of the way that you probably would have expected this game to go the longer it went on, in terms of the blue team, the much stronger team starting to kick away now, 53 points up. So competitive first half from the pink side, but some of these younger bodies that are first and second year players and some VFL listed players, you'd expect the much stronger blue side to have kicked away the longer this match progressed.
Yeah, we might see some more personnel changes as a result as the game goes on. 8.5 to play in this third term. We'll have another scenario set up at the end of the final term. It'll be blue that'll go 8 points up and try to hang on to the lead, while pink try to run them down. That coming up at the end of the final term. Goats tap. Parker. Davies Uniacke, who's just been superb. Off to O'Sullivan. Kick inside 50 over the head of Darling and Pink. Bergman there to collect, but Phillips wraps him up. Free kick in the process. It's going back to Bergman. Miller Bergman. Fourth-year player. One of those guys, Riley, that the time is now. Important year coming up.
Yeah, it certainly is for Miller Bergman. One of those guys that have sort of established himself across that half-back line, played some half-decent senior footy as well across his first 4 years in the league as well. So he's one of those players that's going to want to stake his claim on a day like today with Caleb Daniel and coming into the footy club and with Zach Fisher on his way back, as we spoke about. So he's one that's going to want to take his opportunity in the second half.
Terrence handball went looking for Payne, and then it's socked forward by Stevens for a goal. River Stevens managed to get his foot to it and soccer it through. So Pink get one back. And Miller Bergman coming off just a horror year last year. Had a fractured jaw in the VFL in the opening round. Fought his way back, played one AFL game in round 11, then a hamstring problem, then a couple of AFL games the last 2 rounds, and then had a concussion to finish the year. It kind of just summed up what was a terrible year for him. But as you mentioned, Riley, he's got some work to do to then get his spot back, which he had sort of cemented, really, at one point. He was looking like he was going to... well, he was in and out in 2023, had 12 games, but he looked like he was on the verge of cementing that spot. And then, of course, last year came along and was a real setback for him. So he'll be keen to just put some consistent football together and get continuity as Darcy McPherson returns to the midfield group.
There's a couple of changes to the teams as well, and we'll see this across the course of the second half. So Zane Tersman, we saw him come off after that big hit. He's now back on the field, but he's in the back on the field in the blue side. So he's gone into that starting midfield for the blue side there.
So Teakle in the ruck against Goad. Teakle, the follow-up at ground level, did well. Handball missed Ewan McPherson, who's got Parker hanging off him illegally. Free kick to Ewan McPherson. Pink having a couple of good moments here. Goes looking for Tarrant, who takes the grab. Nice mark in front of Matt Whitlock. We spoke a little bit about James Tarrant. Originally out of Paran Junior Footy Club and East Malvern, and then Old Scotch. He's played 100 games for the Cardinals since 2018. He's 25 years of age. Played in the Big V team last year in that premiership for Old Scotch. And not usually the type of player that come in for intra-club, sort of key position players. But Tom Lynch telling us that it was just impossible to leave him out after the impressive summer that he's had. He's just so athletic. They wanted to see him at this level. And he's missed it to the left on that occasion.
So we spoke about North Melbourne. They're relatively fit at the moment at this stage of the year from an injury perspective, which is where you want to be a month out from round 1. George Wardlaw, obviously the hamstring, he's likely to miss the first month of the season, but I spoke to Alistair Clarkson earlier this week, who said he's hoping to get him back rounds 4, 5 or 6. We know Zach Fisher is back in around a month from a hamstring problem. Cal Coleman-Jones not expected back until probably May at the earliest from that Achilles rupture that he suffered midway through last year, or in the early parts of last year against Carlton on Good Friday. Josh Goda coming back from an Achilles problem as well. He's getting back into the swing of things now. He's almost back into full duties. He's just been rested today. And then Braden George, he's also closing on a return as well from that second ACL rupture that he suffered last season. So relatively fit and healthy at the moment in North Melbourne, which is where they want to be.
Chance for Pink. Switch it to the outer side. Paul pitches in front of Tarrant, getting involved in this third term as the sky's dark and looks like we might be in for some more rain on what's been a fickle day of weather in Melbourne. Poured rain this morning before the game, but we've avoided it through most of the match so far. But certainly sky's darkening and the breeze has really picked up here.
Right on to the fans coming out from Arden Street as well, because about half an hour before this game, when a lot of these fans would have been in their cars coming out to this intra-club match, it was absolutely bucketing down. So about 1,000, 2,000 people here at North Melbourne today, and they've all done very well to come out and watch their team play.
Whitlock hoists it high. Goad at the front. Big flight at the back from Trembath. Nice gather from Phillips. Forward of the football again is Hanson, looking for another finish. Finds Maley instead. Another positional change. Finn Maley gets an opportunity in the blue team. And the word on him really from as he gives it off here unselfishly. And Zerha will have another opportunity to go back and kick his 4th goal. But Finn Maley's been going as well as Jack Darling and Nick Larkey's had a fantastic summer. just obviously a little bit behind them in terms of football IQ and polish, and obviously those guys have got the runs on the board, but they are looking for an opportunity to try and get him in at some stage and get a look at him, because he's such an exciting prospect. And Zurhaar goes back and kicks goal number 4.
Yeah, I think all of the word coming out of Finbar Maley when he was drafted was just how raw he was. He had all of the skills, all of the athletic abilities, all of the athleticism on his side, but it was just the rawness in terms of his football pedigree and how little football he'd played. So if he can put it all together and use those great athletic traits that he's got under his body, then he'll be one to watch in the years to come, because certainly I think he's a player that kicked a lot of goals at VFL.
Well, he's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
Like his ability to fly and bust a pack. He's got an incredible leap. The son of Paul Maley, the mailman, great Australian basketball legend. Sister Anna Lee, champion basketballer in her own right as well. And Finbar has just got incredible, vice-like hands, unbelievable hands. The question over his game, and obviously that he's learning, is still his kicking.
Yep.
And that's the side of his game that he's working really hard on. But he's certainly hungry and he's very impatient. He wants to make it. He's desperate to get to that next level. Sheasel, great composure and vision again. Just popped it into the path of Tucker. Will go high. Darling in the middle of that pack. Staying down cleverly, Zurhaar. And Cam Zurhaar kicks goal number 5. And there's the difference for Cam Zurhaar. He doesn't have to fly for those marks. 2 years ago, he was often the key target, would have to fly for that. Now, with this restructured forward line with a bit more depth, on that occasion it was Darling and Maley. Zurhaar can stay down and be dangerous in a different way.
And he's not going to get the number 1 key defender every week now, number 1 or number 2 key defender. I mean, they've got such talent and such marking ability now in their forward line, having brought Jack Darling into the football club to complement Nick Larkey, who was already one of the best key forwards in the game over the last couple of years. So the burden of responsibility is going to be eased on Cam Zurhaar's shoulders this year. And all of the word around North Melbourne is that it's the likes of Cam Zurhaar and Griffin Logue that have taken on more of a leadership role at the football club over the off-season. It's a football club that's had some leadership changes. Jai Simpkins now the sole captain, but Cam Zurhaar, having signed that 5-year deal as a free agent last year to commit his future to the football club, has sort of seen that this is his club now. It's in his hands how it sort of is shaped, and he's taking a real role from a leadership perspective as well.
Dersma, tackle to ground. Sheasel can't escape. Urquhart and Bode Stevens in number 33 for Pink. Godin, Teakle. Here's Urquhart. Can he get the hands free? He can't. Can stand. He's got him. Umpire said no prior. Go to tap. Stevens comes in and lays the tackle on Rob Hanson. 3.5 to play in this third term. Hayden Core played a half, now resigned to running laps to get his extra running in. It was always the plan. He was going to play a half. Will Dawson was going to play a half. Taylor Goads swapped into the blue team. Off to McKercher. Some space to lead into here for Maylees. He got it at the second grab, not quite. Bergman found it on the ground. Stevens. And they extract it. Noblet got it to Lowe. Now to the wing. Harvey to Geordie Payne. Wants to keep it moving quickly as Blue try to get numbers back in defence. There's some holes there. River Stevens has it, and there's the overlap again to the pocket. And it's Charlie Harrop who gets on the end of it. The old Haileybury Premiership player from the pocket. Tough kick here because the breeze, Riley's going to be blowing straight into his face. We've seen everything at that end go from right to left.
And if you're just looking out at the trees at the moment, it's just picked up in the last 5 minutes or so. So this is going to be an incredibly difficult kick for the young man.
He's going to have to punch it low and hard into the wind. Charlie Harrop, 19-year-old originally from Beaumaris. From the pocket. Steers it across the face. Off hands, minus score.
Poor Aidan Core's turned into an auxiliary boundary umpire out there. He's sort of just hugging the boundary line and going back and forth along that far side wing. So his day's obviously done. He had the finger surgery over the off-season, still coming back from that. So that's why he's not playing the full game at the moment, Aidan Core, but one that you'd expect to be right to go when round one rolls around.
Well, these players will have their GPS loads closely monitored. Have a program. So for Aidan today, it was to play a half of footy, but he needs to get a certain amount of Ks in his legs at a certain level of intensity. And they would have looked at his results when he came off, his GPS tracking to say, righto, we've still got another 4 or 5 Ks of mid-intensity running to do, so off you go.
It's never ideal when you hear that.
No, not perfect, is it? Tucker. Through the hands of Phillips. Dawson managed to get rid of Constanti, who arrived quickly. Stevens to Hardiman. Desperate again from Constanti. Kick inside 50. That's a fantastic grab in from the side. Taken by Charlie Comben. And it was Charlie Harrop who wore it in the face, I think. He's going to come straight off from the cheek. Might have copped the knee of Charlie Comben to his right cheek. And Harrop's going to come straight to the boundary line for assessment.
That one looked nasty, didn't it?
Yeah, let's have another look. It was, watch the knee of Comben coming in from the right-hand side. Bang. Oh, in fact, it was a backhander. So it was the backhander of Cooper Harvey. I thought it was the knee of Comben initially, so that's actually a better result. I'd rather Cooper Harvey's backhand than Charlie Comben's knee. Kick off the side of the boot towards the pocket. Ford keeps it alive. Does well. Slips the tackler. Hoisted high. Downey in good position here for Pink. Well done by Tucker. Got across the front. And nowhere for Daniel to go.
Good fly from Charlie Comben, though. I'm rapt to see him get his body right and play a lot of consistent senior footy last year behind the ball. It looks like where he's going to find his home now in defence. He's played a few different roles, and we even saw him play some forward time at stages last year, but I think it's behind the ball where he's been his best across the course of his young career so far, and he looks a really nice intercept player for the Kangas.
Yeah, taken at pick 31 in 2019. He was North Melbourne's first pick that year. So into his 6th year in the system, Charlie Comben played just 28 AFL games. He's had to struggle with injury, but if he can get fit and stay fit, well, he could be anything at this level, Charlie Comben. He is an athletic freak. It's 3/4 time.
It just looks like Nick Larkey as well is done for the day, because he's got the boots off. He's walking around in the socks at the moment. So a couple who are just going to play a half or 3/4 or 3.5 quarters. Tristan Jerry, we know, is only playing a half. Aiden Core, we've spoken about off the ground, and now it looks like Nick Larkey is done for the day, having kicked 3 goals in the term as well.
Yeah.
So not a bad way to finish.
3 goals in the 3rd term. Nick Larkey looks to be done for the day. 3/4 time here at Arden Street. We'll take a quick break and be back with final quarter action next. Getting set for final quarter action at Arden Street. A little bit of rain just through that 3/4 time break. It's blue comfortably on top of pink, the probables over the possibles, but as we've said a few times throughout the day, the score not really that relevant, and we will indeed stop play with 3 minutes to go at the end and reset the scores to 8-zip in favour of blue to do a couple of late game scenarios as we start the final term. We're joined by another special guest, Kangaroo Braden George joins us. Braden, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, lads. Appreciate it.
What have you made of the game so far through 3/4?
It's been good. The blue team's real classy. Both small forwards are going real well. A lot of pressure, so no, it's been a good hit out from the lads.
What's been the focus leading up to the game in terms of, as an overall group, what you sort of what you've been focused on in your development time in recent weeks, and the sort of things that the coaches will really be wanting to see come to the fore?
I think it's just knowing our role and playing it, really. All the boys have been working pretty hard over the summer to nail down their spots and figure out the best way they play. So I think just putting that on display for everyone to see today has been real good from the lads.
Connor Downey wins the football and goes to Ewan McPherson, who has it in the back pocket.
How are you tracking, Braden? I've heard you started stepping things up a bit, and you're looking like returning early in the season from that unfortunate knee injury. How are you tracking?
Yeah, no, I'm going well. Got the all clear from the surgeon a couple of weeks ago to start ramping up my training loads. So I've been training with the main squad without all the match and all that sort of stuff, but hopefully returning round 1 for the VFL. So looking forward to it.
You've had a brutal run over the last few years. If anyone in footy deserves a change of luck, it's you. Talk us through certainly the physical side of it is tough, and all the rehab and all of that. Talk us through the mental and the emotional side of how you deal with that, the resilience that's required at such a young age. You're so close to your dream, it's just right there, and then these hurdles just keep being presented in front of you.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially moving away from home at such a young age to come down to Melbourne. I think the biggest thing for me is just coming into the club with the best 44 mates, just to be able to talk a little bit of rubbish. I'm still doing what I love, playing footy, so I love working hard. I love the adversity piece, so I think once I get my opportunity, it'll all be worth it. So I kind of just look at the bigger picture when I'm doing my rehab and all that sort of stuff.
Great way to look at it. Good perspective. Eddie Ford, who's switched into the blue team, just cursing himself for missing that opportunity.
He wasn't happy, was he?
Goals have been hard to come by at that end of the ground today. It's been difficult conditions with that blustery breeze as Hardiman goes long to the outer side. Off the hands of Archer, taken by Tarrant. His kick partly smothered by Comben. Tracks towards the line. Charlie can't quite control it. It's still there. In fact, he backheeled it. It was out on the full. It is out on the full against Charlie Comben. Free kick will be taken there by Payne.
You'll hate that.
Pokes it in to Urquhart, who then delivers it inside 50. He'll hate it even more now because there's a shot at goal as a result, and Cooper Harvey could go back and kick for goal number 3. Now, we've noticed with Coop today, he's been the main agitator.
Yes.
He's been getting things started. Is that generally the Cooper Harvey way?
Yeah, that's Cooper. I think when Durs got hit out there before, first thing he said to Durs was, "Who did it? I'll go out there and get him for you." No, that's just the way he plays, and I think he's playing his best footy when he does that as well. So he's been real good today, I think.
I thought the coaches might just throw the cat amongst the pigeons and make him switch jumpers onto the blue team after he's been running around trying to belt them for 3/4. Here's Cooper Harvey. 48 metres out. It's going to drift and fall short. Spoiled to a dangerous position. Powell will track it towards the line and out. Tell us about who's caught your eye over the summer. Who's been impressive? Who do you sort of look at and go, wow, they've gone kind of next level, or they've come on a bit quicker than I expected?
Yeah, I think the small forwards, especially Robbie Hansen, he's come back in unbelievable nick to be able to play his role to the best of his ability, and like his confidence around the ground, ball in hand, strength-wise as well. He's really caught my eye, and he's been a real standout for me.
It's equal to Parker, who's switched into the pink jumper. He snaps at goal and puts it through. What's it been like having Luke Parker around the club?
No, he's good. He's definitely a professional and a really good leader. He's fitted in seamlessly. He's at some of the boys around for his house for a barbecue and all sorts of stuff. So I think he's loving it here, and we're loving having him. So
I understand Jacob Costandy, who obviously came down from Sydney with him, moved in with Luke Parker and the family, and at one point was looking at getting a place of his own, and Luke's like, oh, okay, you're moving out, no worries. And then a week or two later, Jacob turns up with a TV unit, which he loads into his bedroom and goes, oh, I guess he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Stay for a little bit longer. Jacob's been real good as well. He's I played 16s, 17s with him at Big Country, and hasn't changed a bit. He still loves the contest. His head's made of concrete, so it's good to see him here.
How excited are you, Braden, just to get out there again? I mean, it's been such a long road for you as well, and I mean, I remember watching you in your draft year, and you were awesome back then before you did your first knee. I mean, you must just be really chomping at the bit to actually get out there and play some footy and show what you're about again. Yeah,
I'm looking forward just to be out there training, playing, just be available for the whole season. That's my biggest goal. I think if I'm available, the consistency will come, and I'll kind of never lost the love for footy, so I'll just cherish the moment again and do all I can to stay out there for as long as possible.
Down his kick towards low on the wing is run out of bounds. So final quarter action from Arden Street. Great to have you with us. Jason Bennett alongside Riley Beveridge and Braden George in this final term. The probables blue against the possibles pink. O'Sullivan lost the handle. Downey to Bode Stevens. Pokes a kick towards half forward. Tarrant was his target. I won't get there. Luke McDonald will cut it off. Goes short. Sheasel.
Clarko just walked in
back to McDonald.
Deliver a Freddo.
Oh, did he?
There's a little red frog. A little red frog there.
Oh, there you go. Team spirit. Here's Finbar Maley. Floats a kick. Ugly one. Awkward one. Might still work for Eddie Ford. It skids away and goes out of bounds. From a development-focused perspective across the summer, what have been the sort of big-ticket items that have been constantly hammered into the players and things that you've really spent lots of time and effort in the classroom and on the field training and learning and developing?
I think for us, it's just taking ownership when we have the footy. I feel like the last couple of years we've been pretty direct with just like running our patterns and all sort of stuff, but Clarko's given us a good focus just to, when we have the footy, to drive the car. I think you've seen it today. A few of the boys just taking their time with the footy, taking their 7 seconds and making the right decisions. So end of the day, we all play footy. That's why we're here. So drive the car, make the right decisions, and get the ball going forward.
What do you mean by drive the car?
So just like ball in hand, 7 seconds, make the right decision, drive the car. So you give yourself the best opportunity to make the right pass and all that sort of stuff. So it's just putting a bit of ownership on us.
Certainly seen it from a number of the midfielders today, the likes of LDU and McKercher.
Yeah,
Preparedness to just hang on to the footy.
Yeah.
Tom Powell's another one, and just
really
be evasive enough to buy yourself a couple of seconds. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just be able to like draw an extra defender towards you. Like LDU does it probably the best in our team. Gets 1 or 2 defenders onto him, and then Tom Powell spits out, got a spare. So just little stuff like that.
Do you enjoy the craft of footy, the intricacies of it?
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Love learning.
Are you a footy nerd? Are you a real footy head?
When I'm away from the footy club, not really, but when I'm here, I'm fully locked in. So I wouldn't call myself a footy nerd, but I definitely do love it.
Ball in dispute, socket off the deck, and now the race begins. O'Sullivan kicked it forward, Ford muscled off it, ball comes back to him, he's now under some pressure. O'Sullivan, he sockers forward as well, inadvertently. Maley committed the body, coming in over the top, laying the tackle was Alex Noblet, and he's rewarded.
He's been in everything, Eddie Ford, hasn't he? He's trying to make his mark.
Well, he's one of those guys we spoke about, you know, the half forwards that are on the fringes. It's such a competitive spot now in this team. There's 7 or 8 genuine AFL quality half forwards fighting for those, 3 or 4 spots.
No, it's good to have that competition as well. Like even around the club, around training, just the standards and all that sort of stuff. Lifted to another level this year, so it's going to be a tight race for them spots. So it should be good.
Hopkins kick inside 50. McDonald received it from Pink. Daniel comes in and lays the pressure. Here's Bode Stevens, smothered off his boot by Sheasel. Back to Scott, now to Sheasel. Leaves it behind to Scott. Handball went behind him. Tarrant came through, created a path. Downey off to McPherson, and Darcy McPherson from 45 towards the square. It's a 2-on-2. There's going to be a free kick. It's going the way of Pink. And the opportunity will go back for Bryn Teakle to kick his first of the afternoon. So we've seen Taylor Goad. We've spoken about him at length today. Obviously Tristan Sherry, the number 1 ruck. Then a couple of options sort of jostling for potentially that sort of second string ruck opportunity, and Bryn Teakle's one of those.
Yeah. No, speaking on Taylor Goad, he's had an unbelievable summer as well. Especially last year, he's come out of his shell heaps. He's real aggressive, pushing good numbers in the gym. So he's definitely one to watch this year. And also Bryn, he's put on a lot of size. Can play down forward as well, kick a few goals. So it's good competition in the middle as well.
So for a kid like Taylor who comes across from Adelaide at the age of 18, when you say he's come out of his shell, do you mean in a footy sense but also just around the club as a personality?
Yeah, a bit of both as well. Like on the field he was real quiet last year. Around the club he was real insular, but yeah, this year he's come out of his shell heaps, talking a lot more in meetings, even on the ground, demanding standards and all that sort of stuff. And when he loses the contest, the Big X, you can definitely see the frustration on his face. So it's good he's got that competitive nature about himself now.
And that's the same sort of thing we were talking about with Rob Hanson earlier, Riley. It just takes a bit of time sometimes to find your feet, feel like you belong, feel comfortable, and then you can actually start to play your best footy.
Yeah, and especially for those big guys as well, like Taylor Goad. I mean, it always takes the key position types a couple of years to grow into their body and to build out their competitiveness to a level where they can play AFL standard footy. And he's one that's come onto the scene the last couple of years, shown some good things at AFL level, but I'm sure he'll be hoping for his first senior opportunity over the next 12 months or so here at North Melbourne.
So it was Maley in the ruck against Teakle on that occasion. Ball ricocheted to Ewan McPherson, who goes out wide to Connor Downey, former Hawk. Spent a couple of years in the VFL system here at North Melbourne, really important leader in that group. Here's Darcy McPherson, former Gold Coast son, squares it up. Coming out to meet it was Tarrant, couldn't quite hang on. At ground level, it's there for Harvey. Is he taken high? He is. Another plenty of the blue guys just suggesting that he might have contributed to that high contact, Cooper Harvey, and the needling continues. Here's another look. What's your thoughts here, Braden?
Yeah, he's definitely been working on this at training as well.
Working on drawing the freeze, has he?
100%.
Lowering the shoulders.
Go back and finish it now.
He might let a few know if he kicks it as well.
He's had a busy day. This is a chance to kick his third.
He was celebrating before to the crowd, so...
Well, you got to practice every aspect of your game. You're a true professional.
Yeah, 100%.
From directly in front, 30 out. Keeps it low, spears it through. And shares a laugh with the boys. 3 goals to Cooper Harvey this afternoon. It's provided some spark and some energy. lit the fuse a couple of times on the game as Darcy McPherson comes off for a spell. And Riley, I know we've sung his praises all afternoon, but to be able to grab a guy who's played 97 games, this is his 10th year in the AFL system, seasoned professional, played some really good footy, was third in their best and fairest in 2019, seventh in 2023, and just sort of squeezed out as Gold Coast, in a similar sort of a way to North Melbourne, have brought in all this youth. And some of those guys now just sort of get squeezed out of position. So for North Melbourne to bring that in and have that at VFL level to help lead their youngsters, what a luxury.
Yeah, it's a great acquisition for them from their VFL side. Played a bit of half-back as well at Gold Coast last year, so moved around positions a little bit, then got forced out of the side. So, yeah, I'm sure North Melbourne will be wrapped with that. And a lot of young kids at this North Melbourne footy club as well that will... I mean, it's important to strengthen your VFL side because you don't want your VFL side getting blown out every week because that doesn't help aid the growth of the youngsters coming through. So it's important for North Melbourne, given how much young talent they've got on their list, still the youngest list in the competition, for them to bring in some guys with AFL standard experience for their VFL program.
And to play those big-bodied midfielder roles so that the young guys aren't getting crashed and bashed every week. Lowe, Bergman, McPherson of the Ewan variety. And here's Whitlock just reading it nicely in the air.
It's looked really good today, Matt Whitlock, down across half-back.
As we mentioned earlier, his ability to read the footy and play behind the ball and set himself up belies his years, that's for sure. Daniel's kick floats towards Will Phillips, who's been great. He looks to square it up. Aggressive kick. It might get picked off. It will. Downey's got it. Well played by Archer on the mark. They're away and running pink. Archer shut that down. And potentially an opportunity for blue the other way. This is Alex Noblet. Floats a kick wide. It's going to get cut off and Tucker has it. Darcy Tucker thought about the short option to Archer. Instead, he's going to drive it a little longer. Big fly from Ford. Ball hits the deck for Downey. And Eddie Ford just cramping up. It's the only time you'll ever see this, an intra-club game where you can say to your opponent, hey, mate, I'm cramping. Can you just help us with that?
Helps out a little bit.
Unless it's Cooper Harvey, of course.
Yeah, I don't think Cooper would get much help, unfortunately.
So Eddie Ford with a bit of cramp.
It's understandable. He's been doing it all, Eddie Ford, second half. He's been trying to get involved in everything.
And it is an interesting...
Hey, what, he's not going. He's really brought the trainer down with him there.
He's going to limp to the boundary line now. Hopefully it is nothing more than just a nasty cramp that he's struggling to get rid of.
We'll put a bit of mayo on it as well.
I'll be calling for the stretcher shortly. Dylan Stevens, the swap jumpers in a blue. And he kicks to a dangerous spot. And there is that elevation and those hands of Finn Maley that we spoke of, Riley. He has got vice-like hands if he gets himself... And he's the sort of guy, Braden, that he can be seemingly out of position in a marking contest and somehow he just comes down with it.
Yeah, it's crazy to sit back and just watch how he flies with the footy. It's the biggest thing for me when I see him play. Every time he comes off to me, he's like, should I keep flying for him? It's like, yes.
That's your strength.
That's your one wood, bro. Just keep flying for it. And some of the marks he took in the VFL last year were just ridiculous. So I think once he fixes up his goal kicking, he's got it.
He's missed it left.
Just tugged it left.
Once he fixes up that, he'll be really, really handy down there.
Certainly one of those physical specimens that are incredibly difficult to match up on. And they become a real weapon.
Very, very athletic.
Because teams just don't have an option to contain them. It reminds me a bit of Noel Bolter at Richmond.
100%, yeah.
You know, that sort of physical specimen where he's got the combination of athleticism and size. It just makes it incredibly difficult to match up on. Noah obviously a little bit further advanced. You know, Finbar played basketball primarily through till about 2021. So, you know, Noah's been playing footy all his life. So Finbar looking to catch up. He's in the ruck now.
He loves the contest as well, so I'm sure he'll develop at a fast rate.
McPherson's kick gets picked off. Powell fashions a kick inside 50. Awkward bounce. Really clever from Constanti. Lovely tap down to Sheasel. Darling feeds it back. Bailey Scott will bend it to the goal square and Rob Hanson can go back and kick his second.
It's looked really good, Rob Hanson.
Yeah.
Saw that goal on the run in the third term where he took it at full speed and kicked on his left, and then he's Dobbs another one there, having got out the back and taken the mark in the goal square. So he's had a really good second half.
Taylor Goad returns after a spell on the bench, and Finn Maley will go forward.
So is VFL round one the goal for you, Braden? Is that what you set yourself for now?
Yeah, that's the goal. I've talked to the physios and all that sort of stuff, and they're going to start ramping up my loads over the next couple of weeks to sort of game-like. I had a session this morning that was around 13 Ks, so just getting the Ks in my legs, so when I'm out there, I'm not going to blow up and all that sort of stuff. So round one's the goal, and we'll go from there.
So just under 11 and a half to play, as you mentioned, at the 3-minute mark. We'll blow the siren and set up a late game scenario, a 3-minute drill, where Blue will be 8 points up on the scoreboard as Pink were at the end of the second term, and they did a great job to hang on and maintain that lead through the final 3 minutes. Teakle and Goad. Goad jumped early and then won it on the deck and then streaks away out of the middle. Well played, Taylor Goad. Drives it long. Maley in good position. There's two of the guys we were just talking about.
Oh, that's crazy. It's good to see. It's good to see. I love that from Goadie as well. Just be able to back himself in. He's ridiculously quick for a big man as well. So just to back himself in and take that kick inside.
Let's hope Finbar can steer this one through for his confidence.
He deserves one, Finbar.
He's kicked 1-2 for the afternoon, done some good things as he continues his development. Can he punch it low and into the breeze? It's come across the side, off the side of his boot, and Pink can get that to the boundary line reasonably easily through Will Dawson.
You can see how he's got the tools. If he can just straighten up that kicking and just get that right, it's the last part of his game that can sort of elevate him into that senior level for North Melbourne this year, you'd have to think, because he's got all the tools apart from that.
The good thing about Finbar, he loves the challenge and wants to get better. He's always the last one out in the track having goal, set shots on goal. So he'll definitely come. It'll just take a bit of time, but he's definitely put in the work. So
Noblet to Downey.
You can't knock that.
Tucker puts the body pressure on. Archer in there scrapping as well against Payne. Swooping in was Dylan Stevens. Did it well. Tucker to Sheasel. Will retreat to retain possession to McDonald. Phillips calling for it in the middle of the ground, but he's covered. Shorter option is Powell.
Saw Luke McDonald there. Obviously, he's given up the captaincy this year. What's Jai like as a captain, given he's going to be the sole skipper in 2025? How's he lead the football club, and how excited are you for him to take on that captaincy role?
Yeah, Jai's been huge for everyone at the club, the young boys, myself, and all that sort of stuff. Like, the leadership he shows on field is second to none. The standards he drives and all that sort of stuff is really like inspiring for the whole group. He's come a long way in his leadership as well. From the first year I was here, kind of lent on Almac a fair bit, and Almac thought it was time for Jai to lead solo. So it's a good reward for effort, and I think he's going to take the club to where it deserves to be.
What style of leader is Jai? Is he vocal? Is he lead by action? A combination of both?
Yeah, he's a combination of both now, but the actions speak a lot for him. Especially at training, drives standards, wants everyone to get better. So he's always leading the running, always leading everything. So it's inspiring to be around, and you don't want to disappoint him. So it's a good leader to have.
Daniel Whitlock and McDonald all combined. Back to Caleb Daniel, who's been really impressive, Riley, as we know what a quality player he is, and just slotted in seamlessly across half-back and can provide that creativity, launch and exquisite kicking skills that helps set you up in the modern game. Speaking of exquisite skills, right on cue, Harry Sheasel kicks another.
The first kick to Zane Dersma was extraordinary, and then he just ran past, jogged past, and gets the shot in himself.
You
So
see that coming from a mile.
yeah, that was he's such a great footballer. I mean, for him to be, what was he, 2 years into his career now? He's going
Yes, this is year 3.
It's unbelievable, because he's already one of the best 5, 10, 15 players in the competition. So
What makes him so special when you're playing with him and against him at match sim, etc.? How is he so good?
I think it's just his knowledge in the game. Like he just knows where to be, knows where to run, knows how to stand. Like, then to get the ball, he's always hips open. He's very, very clean. He's done the work, obviously, and he's reaping the rewards of it now. But he's definitely a hard worker, especially this pre-season. It's come back and he's trying to drive the standards with Jai as well. So it's good to see the hard work paying off for him.
That was always the scouting report on him, Riley, even when you guys were watching him as a junior. He was always driven, always heavily watching tape and that sort of thing. He's just one of those guys who's just fanatical about getting the best out of himself.
I remember Jace being here with you, I reckon, 2
2 years ago, yep.
where we'd seen him play for Sandy Dragons and for Vic Metro, and he'd been this unbelievable forward mid that could really impact games forward to centre. It was the first time he'd ever lined up across half back, and he was best on ground.
Yep.
His first ever intra-club game here. It was
So yeah, that might work.
it was unbelievable. Then he comes through and he wins the Rising Star as a half back, and now he's playing through the midfield second half of last year and today as well. But we haven't really seen him do what he did at Sandy, which is play as a deep forward where he can go one out and take a mark above his head as well and really be an awkward matchup for teams. We haven't seen him do that at AFL level. That's just another string to his bow that he's already got. So, I mean, he could be anything going forward. I can see a Brownlow in his career one day and plenty of success both individually and hopefully as a team as well for Harry Sheasel.
Well, one of the headlines this afternoon is this man right here, Colby McKercher. Riley, you've been big on him all afternoon. He's been impressive.
Yeah, and he's a great kicker goal as well, so you'd back him to nail this one on his left foot as well. There we go.
Right on cue. Riley Beveridge with the scouting report as always.
He's an unbelievable left-footed kick. That was his one wood as a junior coming out of Tassie as well. Just that ability to run and take a bounce and break away on the outside, but also kick the ball at full speed. That was always his biggest attribute, and it was why he was sort of viewed as one of the best prospects in his draft year. And he's certainly showed that across half back in his first year at North Melbourne. I'm sure he's going to show it as a sort of wing half forward, it looks like, for North Melbourne in 2025.
Yeah, that could be the next step in his game. He only kicked 2 behinds last year in his 16 games. It was the one thing he didn't do because obviously he was in a different role, but playing him in the front half or having more exposure in the front half, he can do exactly what he did there, which is get on the end of something and finish.
Yeah, if he's not finishing the goals, he's setting them up. You've seen him early in the game take 3 or 4 bounces to the middle and hit Subi on a lead. So it's just his penetrating kick that tears teams apart, which we love.
The tap was looking for Phillips, picked off by Urquhart, who's also been impressive. Out towards half forward. Nicely done by Houghton. Got the crumb, floats it towards Tarrant. Whitlock managed to get it to ground. Payne wrapped up by Daniel. 25 out from the pink goal.
Luke Urquhart's done some nice things today, hasn't he? Have you been impressed by him since he's come to the football club?
Yeah, he's a really good player, I reckon. He's put a bit of size since coming here as well, and he's learning off the best in the midfield with LDU and Shees and all that sort of stuff. So he's taking his game to another level, and he's a really good runner as well. So he's been playing that role really well.
McKercher to Curtis. Lovely kick to the wing for Scott. And the run from behind comes from Powell. He's got some time and space. Can have a couple of bounces. Can go himself if he likes. Good run down from behind from Stevens. Forced him to release the handball. He did so to O'Sullivan, and he bends through another. Good transition again from the blue team. That's where they've got on top this afternoon as the game's gone on. Their ability to carve through. And then Finn O'Sullivan gets on the end of it for a goal.
That's really exciting in terms of from half back. You saw Sheasel, you saw McKercher, you saw Curtis, and then you
Powell.
saw Powell
and O'Sullivan to finish.
So a lot of top picks, a lot of really good midfield prospects there for North Melbourne. That's what will excite the fans watching both here at Arden Street and at home today, because those young midfielders who have been brought to the club as first-round picks over the last couple of years have all sort of been standouts across the course of the morning. And
good news, Eddie Ford's just returned to the action as he trudges down towards the goal square. Made a miraculous recovery, Braden.
He's out of his cramps, which is good.
I don't know how he got off the field because he
was stuck around the opposite side, wasn't he?
It didn't sink off the field.
Insert obligatory reference to pickle juice at this point. It'll be Goad versus Teakle. Beautiful tap from Goad down to Dersma, who came sweeping in. Tucker off the back of the square. Floats to half forward. Maley up in front. Trembath got a fist in. Maley then turns tackler on Downey. And we should mention Cooper Trembath, number 28, who's got the job at the moment on Maley. Was in the North Melbourne VFL program last year. Didn't play a game and was really challenged by Tommy Lynch about his professionalism. No guaranteed contract. Went away over the summer. Lost 11 kilos and has taken a minute 15 off his 2K, Cooper Trembath, and got himself onto the North Melbourne list once again in 25. And great to see him get a reward today of a chance to play in this game. And they're the sort of stories around your footy club that add to the culture of the place. He had guaranteed offers from other VFL clubs. He knocked those back because he wanted to prove himself here at North Melbourne. Those sort of things go a long way in earning respect in a group.
Yeah, 100%. And Coop's been training with us at the AFL level as well, and he's come out to show a lot as well. Being able to drive standards with the VFL boys, but still know the system and set people up as well.
It didn't last long.
Eddie Ford's return was very short-lived. He's back to the bench.
He ran from the bench to the goal square and then turned around and ran straight back to the bench.
That's not working. Charlie Coleman, good grab. 4.5 to play. The siren will sound in about 90 seconds' time to set up for this 3-minute drill at the end. Whitlock goes short to Phillips.
Well, Phillips has looked good today as well. He's gotten bigger around the shoulders, it looks like, over the summer, and put on a little bit of muscle there to get his body right to be a midfielder full time, and looks like he's really paid the dividends of that at the moment.
Had a rotten run early in his career. Interrupted start back in 21 and then had 2 bouts of glandular fever in 22 and in and out of the side last year, 11 AFL games, looking to cement himself. Archer against Stevens, a couple of famous names in North Melbourne history.
Yeah.
Noblet, nice kick. Finds Urquhart. Another touch for Luke. Shown plenty this afternoon. A ready-made AFL body at the age of 18. To half forward Tarrant. It'll pitch in front of James. Chance here for Ollie Lowe at the back. He's got Harvey out the back. Tracking back though is Comben, and that'll really annoy Cooper Harvey. Comben, lovely kick. Opens up the corridor for Phillips. Now to Dersma. 25 seconds until the siren will go for the 3-minute drill.
Some tired bodies out there now, it looks like it.
Darling had it taken away. Well done by Hardiman. Parker. Low. 10 seconds left on the clock. River Stevens flows on by. Kick inside 50. He's picked off by Toby Pink. Now to Phillips, and that should be it. We will set up for the 3-minute drill. Scoreboard will be reset. Blue will have 8 points on the clock. 8 points on the scoreboard, rather, with 3 minutes on the clock. Pink will try to run them down. Blue will try to hang on to this lead. We spoke a little bit earlier, Braden, to Brady Rawlings about match simulation and sort of scenarios like this. It's become a regular practice at every footy club now, obviously. How many sort of set plays do you have in a group? I mean, obviously, we're not quite at the stage of an NFL playbook yet, which is the size of a couple of old phone books, but how many different scenarios are you guys working on at any given point in time?
There's a few, like obviously when we're chasing or when we're holding a lead and all that sort of stuff, but
do you have different variations of it with a sort of the core philosophies, or do you have a couple of completely different setups like we hear in other sports where you say we're going to go to plan B or plan C or whatever you want to call it?
It's pretty set in stone what we're trying to do. We're just doing these to finalise if it's working or not, and for the coaches to see if it's working from upstairs. But I think the boys lead the charge with all the calls they make, and if they think it's not working, then they ask the bench if we can try something else. But it's pretty set in stone, and the boys have worked pretty hard over the summer to finalise everything and work it out pretty well.
So for something like this where we've got a set scenario, whether you're in front or behind, does literally every player in the ground have a particular position and role to play in that structure, which might be different to what they're normally doing?
Yeah, so like we got boys that will rotate out of position or something like that to free up someone else or to get someone spitting through the contest or something like that. So it takes a bit to organise, but the boys do a really good job, and the coaches explain it really well to us to execute on game day. Do you develop new ones during the season? Because obviously other clubs are looking, as you guys are, studying other clubs to see what they do in certain situations. So you sort of do have to keep throwing up some curveballs and keep things fresh a little bit to keep other teams guessing. Yeah, if things aren't working, obviously the coaches will look at changing stuff, but I think you just got to nail down the basics and go from there. Well, let's have a look and see now. So we've flipped the scenario to the second quarter. Blue now, or Pink lead. And Blue are going to try to come. In fact, I think it's the other way around. It should be Blue that's 8 points up, and Pink need to come over the top of them, unless they're repeating the scenario from the end of the second term. Pink managed to hang on to the lead on that occasion. Let's see what we've got here. Braden might be able to tell us by looking at strategies and structures as to who you do think's in front and who's behind. Here's Stevens, got it to Teakle. I have a feeling Pink might be behind, and yeah, I think Pink are chasing the lead here. Comben out to Tucker. So Blue will be looking to sit on the lead. Tap down from Stevens as the rain tumbles down. Houghton to Dawson, and it's
rushed over the line and out of bounds. So the importance of decision-making and communication at times like this, that's paramount. It's one thing to physically be able to do things on the footy field, but you've got to make the right decision before you do it.
100%, yeah, and that's when the communication comes into play as well. I think the boys have worked pretty hard over summer, getting their voice up and around the contest to get people set up in the right positions before the ball's there.
Noblet floats the kick. Here's Whitlock over the top, takes the grab. Stevens just clipped him on the way past, and will hold up play with a little ankle tap. So Whitlock will have it on the wing.
Yeah, I think I was going to fight this.
Maley at the front.
Good call.
You picked it.
You got a career in this, Braden.
He's so difficult to stop if he gets a run and jump at the footy.
He doesn't even need a clear path. He just jumps from anywhere.
Yeah, just sort of creates his own path, doesn't he? He can bullock his way through a pack from nowhere.
Makes it real awkward for everyone.
And as we've said now, the tricky part for Finbar, getting lots of looks though. Swirly conditions. He'll kick from 40 out. Makes good contact with that one. But again, missed left, as most of them have this afternoon to that end of the ground. Wind's really ripped it hard from right to left. So minute 23 left in the scenario. What can Pink do here? They need to be expansive. And they will go long. Ollie Lowe at the back. They've got coverage there, though. It spills off hands, and
I think it might be. I think it might be Blue that's
it might
actually
be,
chasing the game. It looks like.
I have a feeling they've swung the scenario around again.
I thought that when Matt Whitlock took that mark and then just absolutely took off straight away. I thought.
And early on, when Coleman was the only man back inside defensive 50.
Yeah.
So Blue trying to win the game. They couldn't quite get it done in the second term in this scenario. O'Sullivan takes Payne down. Teakle and Goad. Bode Stevens spins out of the first tackle, releases the handball to Payne. Off the back foot and out of bounds on the full. So a chance here for Blue to mount something with 44 seconds left in the scenario. Dersmer will look to get it in long and fast. Gains some territory. Drives it towards the pocket. And a great mark taken by O'Sullivan.
That's what he can do above his head.
He's going to waste no time at all with his team trailing. Steps around. Bends it into the breeze, and he misses left as well. Well, they've created the opportunities, just haven't quite finished them. It was the same situation in the second term. And Ben Hopkins, who's been impressive all day, will have one last kick in with 8 seconds left. And not surprisingly goes long and wide. Stevens, Tarrant, Siren. Braden, thanks so much for your time. It's been wonderful to have your insight. Wish you all the best, mate.
Thank you
if anybody's due for a change of luck, it's you. We look forward to seeing you out there in the weeks ahead, and best of luck for the road ahead.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Braden George joining us this afternoon as the North Melbourne Intra-club wraps up here at Arden Street. Riley, let's sum it up. We'll start with what you really liked across the board today from both teams. What sort of impressed you? What do you take away from this hit out?
Well, clearly, North Melbourne's competitive advantage in 2025 is going to be that influx of midfielders they've had over the last couple of years, the abundance of midfielders they've got, quality young kids coming through the system now. And Finn O'Sullivan, we saw the mark above his head that he took in that last little drill there. I mean, he's going to be one that's adding to that across a wing. Colby McKercher, I thought, was just about best on ground in terms of his wing and half forward play and how he was able to get forward and make an impact. Harry Sheasel ends up finishing with 2 goals. I thought he was one of the best as well. So that, yeah, I think there's a number of them that have shown exactly what they can do today in terms of their versatility. So, yeah, very impressive stuff from North Melbourne's young midfield group.
What have you made of the new faces?
Yeah, well, as I said, Finn O'Sullivan I thought was really impressive across the course of the game. I thought Matt Whitlock was a bit of a standout as well down back. Playing in that stronger team might give an indication that he's really in the mix for some senior footy early on in this season. And looks good, competitive, took a couple of really nice intercept marks. But I think the most impressive part of Matt Whitlock's game was the fact that he was able to get the ball below his knees as well and make a real impact there. And we saw him set up Nick Larkey for one of his goals in the third quarter. And then Luke Urquhart was who was North Melbourne's third pick. I think he was picked 50-odd in the draft.
57, yeah.
Last year. I mean, he looked really strong as well as a ball-winning midfielder for that pink side across the course of the afternoon. So, yeah, North Melbourne fans can certainly watch those kids at home and think these guys might be able to make an impact for us in 2025.
And from a VFL perspective, a lot of those guys out there today did not look out of place. Ben Hopkins was really impressive down back. Darcy McPherson was arguably the best man on the ground in the first half of football. Some of the other guys that we haven't seen a lot of at VFL level, like the Tarrants and the Harrops, had good moments as well. Alex Noblet did a few good things. Bode Stevens got busy at times. So from a VFL perspective, it looked healthy as well. Great opportunity for them to test themselves against players at this level and just stake their claim. A lot of those guys have been training regularly with the AFL players over the summer. So now it's a chance of recovery, rest up, get ready for another hard week of work on the track as they build up to their round 1 clash against the Dogs.
Yeah, that Saturday night game at Marvel Stadium, so that'll be really exciting for North fans to see the next evolution of this side. Alistair Clarkson's third season. I'm sure they'll be hoping to get more than 3 wins on the board in 2025. And I think they're well on their way to that. I mean, I think the trade for Matt Whitlock was an indication of just how much they believe they're going to rise up the ladder this year. And it is hard. You've got to find the balance because they're still the youngest list in the competition, but I think the wins are bound to come for North Melbourne. There's too much talent and there's too much depth in talent across the board, particularly in terms of their midfielders, for North Melbourne not to be more competitive in games this year. So I think we'll see a lot of that, a lot more competitiveness and a lot more wins in 2025 for the Kangas this year.
In what's going to be a really special year for the club, the centenary in the VFL, AFL, and of course 50 years since their first premiership in 1975. So it's going to be a fantastic year on and off the field for North Melbourne. If you're a North Melbourne fan and you haven't yet signed up, make sure you grab your membership. Jump on the website. Lots of great events coming up, season launches, etc. as they build up to round 1. Thanks so much for your company this afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.